The Marcia Weekes Show. It's the Marcia Weekes Show. From Barbados to Africa, voices, educate, elevate. It's the Marcia Weekes Show. It's the Marcia Weekes Show. From Barbados to Africa, voices, educate, elevate. It's the Marcia Weekes Show. We growing.
And a great good evening to all of you joining us here on the Marcia Weekes Show this Friday, August the 28th. My goodness, August has just flown by, and we are moving quickly in another couple of days into the month of September. It's a pleasure to have you joining us tonight. I get the privilege of being your host for the show again tonight, Friday night, and we're looking forward to a great time together. We're going to have some great guests, and pardon the sticking on the video with me, but my internet has given a bit of problems, so that's going to happen a little bit more than normal. So do forgive me for that, or should I say do forgive the internet for that, okay? But we're looking forward to a great night. We expect to have Mr. Fred Corbin in. We're going to be taking a look at the agenda of 2030, and we're going to be looking back again at some vaccine information. We are hoping to have some information on the Codrington reparations for whom. Rose Corbin is going to be popping in with us tonight as well, and she'll be sharing, and as well as Apostle LYNROY SCANTLEBURY, he'll be joining me later on tonight as we take a look at the press conference in St. Lucie with the Prime Minister with regards to the water. So let me welcome all of you to the show. I'll be back to bring some individual greetings to you. Met one or two of you over this last week, and what a joy it was to finally meet. I shouldn't say finally, but to meet some of you who are always here on the show with us. So remember, like and share. Whatever you do, like and share so that we can get a really good positioning on YouTube, Facebook, and so on. All right. So great to have you here. But as always is the case on my Friday evenings, I like to repeat the national pledge as a reminder to the people of Barbados, Labour Party supporters, Democratic Labour Party supporters, independent persons, people who support the other political parties that you would know who you're affiliated with. Your original allegiance is to your country and to your flag. This is what I learned as a child growing up after 1966. And I am appreciative that to this very day, we are committed to our nation and to our flag. So join me as we repeat again this Friday evening the National Pledge of Barbados. I pledge allegiance to my country, Barbados, and to my flag, to uphold and defend their honor, and by my living, to do credit to my nation wherever I go. Of course, you know this is the 60th anniversary year of our independence, and we are encouraging persons to get that national flag. We're encouraging them to fly it from their home. We're encouraging you to put it on your vehicle, fly it proudly wherever you are. You are, I think there was a song that said, I'm a proud Barbadian. I'm going to leave it there. Stop. That's the only line I want to deal with. And of course, you know, on your lapel, I really have to get mine and pin mine on so that I will be having it on every time I'm on the show. And we want to encourage you to be proud of your country, be proud of your flag. We have a lot to be proud of in many, many areas. As we have often heard the saying, Barbados is punching above its weight. And of course, our famous saying, we will be friends of all and satellites of none. We are a great, great country, maybe only 166 square miles, but Barbados has been made great not by any singular person in terms of our leadership, but by our people who have immigrated all over the world. I was stunned on one trip I had in Europe when I got in Paris to find a Barbados rum shop. Believe it or not, Mungay rum in the rum shop in Paris. It was just unbelievable. And I was just so shocked and surprised. This was many, many, many years ago. But we are proud of our country. But I want to make it clear, you know, some people seem to think that Barbados only got on the map because of the current prime minister and the current administration. I want to say to you, no, 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 and a million times no. Barbados has always been on the map from way back, for that matter, as far back as the slave trade, where a lot of what happened, not good, mind you, not good, but a lot of what happened in places like North Carolina, South Carolina, the United States, originated here in Barbados. A lot of the legislative aspect, a lot of the laws governing slaves and so on originated right here in Barbados. So Barbados has been on the map. Give you grant back in those days, not for good reasons, but has continued to stand out as a nation, as a country across the world. And as I said, not because of our current leadership, but because over the years, Barbadians have made a significant contribution to the United Kingdom, to the United States, to Canada, and around the Caribbean. So we have not just arrived. We've been here a very, very, very long time. So welcome to the show. Let's be proud of our nation. 60 years of independence. This year, we honor the Right Honorable Errol Walton Barrow, the father of this nation, whose legacy we must never allow to be eradicated or overshadowed by anyone or anything. I have already expressed my feelings with regards to the Republic Day, which I felt should have been on a different day. We were cutting the vestiges of colonialism. And I felt that on the day we, as a Commonwealth country, as a part of the UK, the day that we celebrated the Queen's birthday on should have been chosen for the day for our Republic Day, because we're cutting the vestiges of colonialism. And Clearly, there were those who didn't think it was necessary. But okay, I'm just looking there. Yes, that plaque was unveiled by the Honorable Mia Amor Motley, Prime Minister, on the 21st of January 2020. It looks like, at the birthplace of the national hero of the right, excellent Errol Walton Barrow, the first Prime Minister of Barbados, in recognition of his exceptional service to his country. Not just exceptional service, but the one who birthed this nation into its independence and by extension into its republicanism. That is the reality, the transition, the continuation of what he would have started. So we're very proud of our nation, all right? Very, very proud of our nation. But let me take a moment to welcome those of you who are joining us tonight. I saw Mavis Lashley on already tonight, and I want to welcome you, Mavis. Thank you so much for being here. Judy, my goodness, great to have you back again as well. Encouraging all of you to like and share. Thank you, Mavis, for encouraging them. Please, everyone, like and share. Like and share, every one of you. Please do that. Thank you for your greeting this evening, Mavis, as well. End Days, good to have you on with us. And Monica Ince, good night to you as well. Lucinda Aline, good evening, and thank you for your blessings here on the show. We really appreciate your sentiments. We really, really do. Let me see this one here I'm reading. Roy Turney would really like to hear about the revelation that Anthony Fauci can't answer the allegations put to him about the many deaths in COVID, because this is a very important issue. Absolutely, Roy. We'll touch on it a little bit tonight. Andrea Critchlow, greetings. Thank you so very much. Appreciate you joining us again this evening. Just trying to run down Antonio Barrett. Good evening to you as well. I like that comment. Government, let me make sure I read it properly. Government, media, and the medical fraternity silent about all the revelations of COVID vaccine killing and injuring people. And I'm going to be touching on that tonight because I've heard some things and I'm going to respond accordingly with regards to them. So good evening to all of you. I'm a big girl. I'm looking actually for someone. I haven't seen her yet. But I'm a big girl. Great to have you with us again. I'm a big girl. Encourage the others to like and share as well. Laurie Bob, good evening to you. God bless you. Great to see you as well. Just running on down here. I'm looking to see if I can locate Taroni. Taroni, you got to be somewhere. Calendar 2463. Good evening to you. Jacqueline Aline, good evening to you as well. Great to have you here. We're looking forward to a great night tonight. Really, really, really great night this that we're looking forward to. Just running down. Goodness gracious me. First Wizard, greetings to you as well. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Just taking a peep down here to see all of you that are so supportive of the show and so encouraging. Thank you for your blessings this Sabbath evening as well. Shirley, thank you so very, very much. God bless you. God really bless you. You know, we look forward to him. Let me get this. Mary Fully, good evening to you. And thank you so much for your blessings to myself and my family. Really appreciate that. And greet one another too, not just us, you know, greet one another. Good to have all of you on the show. Shirley, yes, great to have you. I'm missing Taroni though. Did I miss Taroni somewhere? Missing Taroni. You know, I look for some people. Taroni is one I look for. Annette Brewster. Good to have you as well. Sandra, that is Andrea Merritt. God bless you. Welcome to the show this evening. Great to have you. Joyette Ann. Blessings to you as well. Thank you so much for choosing to be with us this Friday evening. You could be somewhere else, but you're here with us, and we really, really appreciate it. Okay, thank you. I'm a big girl. Taroni not here yet. I hope when he comes on, I get to see that he is on. I'm missing him. And of course, I was looking for Sandra Brewster. I think it is Sandra Brewster. Got to meet Sandra just a couple of days ago, just yesterday, actually. And was such a joy to connect with her and with any of you. From time to time you run into me at the supermarket, or on the street, at the gas station, or somewhere, and I'm really grateful in getting to meet all of you. Now, to be honest with you, I don't remember names very well. I've never been good at that. I usually have to call them a million times before I can get used to them. But nevertheless, a real joy to have you all on tonight. Now, very quickly, before I get into what I want to share, I just want to say a prayer, if I can, for the people of Nepal. I trust that you've been following what has been happening there. It has been catastrophic, cataclysmic. Some people are calling it almost like the end of the world kind of thing. And I just want to say a prayer for them this evening. Father, we just bring the country, the government, and the people of Nepal to you this evening. Lord, you've seen the tremendous, horrendous experience that they've had, Lord, with that glacier that collapsed and sent that wall of water wiping out villages. And Lord, we just want to pray for the people, the families that have been affected. We understand thousands of them, over 350 have died, Lord. Father, we pray for the spirit of comfort to be with them tonight. We ask you to give those who would be engaging with the rescue efforts the strength, oh God, and the psychological capability, Father, to handle what they will find in many instances, Lord God. We ask you to be with them, with the government, with the people, with the administration, Father God, with the rescue workers, Lord, with everyone who would contribute from the United States and other parts of the world. Father God, please help these people, we pray. Lord God, be with them in the mighty name of Jesus. And even in the midst of this catastrophe, we pray that you will bring a spirit of comfort to them. In Jesus' mighty name, amen and amen. It was just horrific. It really broke my heart when I watched it. Not a lot of things do that to me. And one of the things I want to quickly touch on, I ran into a young man in the Massey car park. I was coming out of the supermarket. And thank you so very much, Dave. Just leave it up there a little bit that the people can see the latest update that is there. The death toll, the missing people have risen to 1,924. And that will continue to rise, we know. I mean, if you go and you watch it, your heart has got to be moved. If you aren't, you're a concrete block or statue. But it really impacted me tremendously. And I really prayed, and I said, Lord, please help these people. Please help them, even in the midst of those who have lost loved ones. And Father, those that are missing, those that may be buried, Lord God, we just help them, Lord. I don't know how to do it. There are times that you want to pray a particular way, but you have to put it in the hands of the Lord and trust God to do what is the best thing in the interest of those people. Amen. So as I was saying, I ran into this young man as I was coming out of the supermarket. He attends the Leonard School. He's going to fourth form. And he was selling small bottles of water out of a red plastic bag to raise money to buy shoes. His mother is not working. His father's passed away. And I watched, I saw the distribution of the funds to these religious, to these faith groups. For the development of the youth. And I was just thinking to myself, but one of the first things that we need to do is we need to be able to help people to live, help people to eat, put food in their stomachs. No point, helping people in all these different areas. And it's so difficult for them to be able to just survive and make it. And here it was, this young man didn't have shoes. We went to Payless, and unfortunately, we were unable to take him with us. We didn't know what shoes to get for St. Leonard, but we're going to be in touch. We got his mother's number, and my wife will be in touch with her, to see what we can do to help. But this is all too often the condition that we continue to encounter in Barbados. This is something that I'm not used to. We are not used to it, and something has to happen. I saw something today. I didn't get a chance to look at a lot of it, but I saw something today with regards to the private sector negotiating with the Prime Minister to help bring down prices. But I will say to the Prime Minister, Madam Prime Minister, consider reducing the VAT. Consider reducing the VAT on all food imports. You can increase it on other things. There are areas that you can increase it on. I know there's some things that are reduced already. I know that, but you can't dictate to people what food to buy. They need that freedom. And my feeling is that VAT could be cut significantly on food, all food across the board, and in other areas, construction material. For low-income housing development, where people are building their own homes. I'm not talking about government homes. I'm talking about where people are building their own homes. There must be some way for us to monitor that and to be able to assist in those areas and helping to reduce the cost of living on all aspects in Barbados, even reducing the cost of gas. Bottled gas. Bottled gas. Imagine a 20-pound cylinder is up at $50 now. Hardly lasts 3, 4, 5 weeks, if that much. And these are things that we need to sit down and take serious stock of. And if the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank are forcing us to do these actions, then we need to get rid of them and move on to some other financier. So that's what I wanted to share with regard to that. And very quickly, I want to touch on the matter of the vaccines. I may not get to that. As a matter of fact, even before I get to that, Dave, I want to ask you to bring up those pictures of the Sargasso seaweed in River Bay. My wife and I went out for a drive. I took her out for a drive, some fresh air. We went all the way up to St. Lucie, and we wanted to go into River Bay. And, when I got down there, I could not believe my eyes. I, honest to God, could not believe my eyes. I don't know if you could get them done individually, Dave, and if you can make them as large as you can. But I could not believe my eyes. Look at the Sargasso, and that's not the worst picture. That is looking up into the bay. Okay, that picture. Look at that. Look at that. That thing is so thick that I could walk on that. That's how it looked, and the stench was horrific. All there where we used to bathe. You can't go in the water at River Bay at all. And I thought they had. Look at that. The entire inner of the bay is completely coated in Sargassum seaweed. And I thought they had equipment and all that to manage all of this and to deal with this. But clearly, it ain't happening at River Bay, which used to be one of the major picnic spots in the country. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. I don't know who's the minister responsible for this area, but maybe, Dave, we can send them these pictures. I don't know. I don't even know if it's worth our time and effort to send it. All right. And I just want to say it's horrible, and it's terribly disappointing that we cannot get to the bottom of the problem, but deal with this in such a manner as to clean up our spaces. Now, I understand from someone who flew in very recently that when they flew into Barbados, they could see the seaweed up to a mile away from the country, almost like ringing or along the entire coast, west coast of Barbados, all down there. And, there has to be something that can be done with regards to it. And I believe that more effort needs to be put into dealing with this matter. Okay. So I just want to touch on that. And I want to move quickly to this matter of the vaccines. Now, I want to say very clearly that the Marcia Weekes Show does not give medical advice. I don't give medical advice either. Some people seem to think that because we are addressing the issues of vaccines, that we are anti-vaxxers. I am not an anti-vaxxer. I have received vaccines, and anytime I need to get a particular type of vaccine, I will receive it. But I will not take a vaccine from Pfizer or Moderna. I will not take an mRNA technology aspect of the vaccines, as seen during the pandemic, when one of the individuals who was deeply responsible for the development of it is now speaking out. Well, not now. He issued warnings during the pandemic with regards to it. And we cannot ignore those contributions. Now, the reason I want to touch on this quickly tonight before I bring in my first guest, and we are going to interact on this as well when he comes in, is because of some comments made by the president of the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners. And I want to read very quickly. She indicated, I guess, in a press conference, she said, and I quote, COVID was two epidemics in one. You had a virus, but you also had viral misinformation that went out at about the same time, Dr. Williams said, while observing that much public anxiety stems from a fundamental misunderstanding of complex scientific achievements, such as the messenger RNA, that's the mRNA, and DNA vaccine technology, which had actually been developed for 3 decades before the pandemic. The actual development of the mRNA technology began back in 1961, and there have been a cadre of persons involved in the development of it, okay? She went on to say, and I quote, because of the internet and social media, there was a lot of misinformation spread and continues to be spread by people who feel that they have a platform to do so. I hope she was not referring to this show. This was the first time the world faced a pandemic with the reach of social media being what it is. Now, I want to say clearly to the president, Dave, bring up that picture for me with Japan. I sent you a picture with Japan. Bring it up for me, please, because the president has to answer questions that are put to her. Okay, bring that one up for me, please, Dave, with Japan. Japan, you will see it when it comes up, officially names the COVID mRNA vaccine the most deadly drug in history of humankind. Ferdinand Nichols did not say that. The Marcia Weekes Show did not say that. Japan, the officials of Japan have officially named the vaccine the most deadly drug in human history. Dave, there is another one I want you to bring up for me quickly, please. The one with the gentleman sitting down at the desk is Peter Daszak, the British zoologist. Please bring that one up as well. Yes, sir. Please enlarge it as much as you can. These are facts before us. So when the president comes out with her statements, she has to answer these questions for the Barbadian public. Peter Daszak, the British zoologist at the heart of the Wuhan bat research, listen to it carefully, the heart of it, plotted with a senior U.S. official to kill the COVID lab leak theory and revive the funding. Court documents show bottles of wine and promises of fancy dinners in exchange for shenanigans. Morens has now pled guilty. The people who demanded we trust the science were busy manufacturing the narrative. Every single person involved must be held accountable. Those are not my words. Those are not my words. And the president has to answer those kind of statements that are proven with country officials. If I had the time, I would get into it, but I do not want to encroach on my first guest's time. But I'm sure he's going to go into a number of things, and I hope that we'll be able to show you the facts, because none of us are anti-vaxxers. We are not providing medical information, medical advice. Your doctor, especially when it comes to the vaccination for your children, make sure your doctor tells you every single thing about what is in that vaccine. Do not accept it just on face value. We can no longer do that. And I have more videos that I could pull up if I wanted to, and if I had the time, that would speak to that matter. But I am not going to do that tonight. My guest is coming on in about a minute's time, and I will see where he will take us where that is concerned. All right? But these are the kind of things that the president has to answer. So when you talk, Madam President, about the internet and social media with a lot of misinformation spread, you have to answer the information that has come from officials. Even the European Union has spoken with regards to this. You, madam, are not a virologist. You're not an expert on a global level. You are not a chemical specialist. And incidentally, if I had the time, as a matter of fact, I hope my friend will give me 1 minute. They bring up that one with the gentleman in the glasses, please. Professor Francis Boyle. Please bring that one up for me. And the statement is breaking. In one of Professor Francis Boyle's final interviews before his death, he repeatedly called the mRNA COVID shots Franken shots and described them as biological weapons. He argued the technology involved gain of function elements and should be treated under weapons law. He also accused Bill Gates of pursuing a depopulation eugenics agenda through global health and vaccine programs. Boyle, the international law professor, listen, who drafted the U.S. Biological Weapons Anti-Terrorism Act of 1989. I want to believe that he ought to know what he's talking about. But we are going to have a president that is going to tell us nonsense about the spread of misinformation and false information. Madam, answer, doctor. You can't answer him. I mean, he can't hear you now. He died on the 20th of January, 2025 at the age of 74 in Illinois. He had remained outspoken about what he saw as medical tyranny and the legal status of injections. Not my words. This is Mr. Francis Boyle, and he is the man, the law professor, who drafted the U.S. Biological Weapons Anti-Terrorism Act of 1989. So who am I going to listen to? Who am I going to listen to? I'm going to listen to the president of the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners, or am I going to listen to a person with his expertise, knowledge, and experience? You have to decide for yourself, all right? Do your research. We are not giving you any medical advice. I want to be clear. We are giving no medical advice. We are simply stating the facts that we have discovered in our research and leaving it for you to make your call, all right? Don't talk with the doctor. Let me welcome my first guest this evening, Mr. Fred Corbin. Fred, great to have you with us. I know we had some technological problems in the last time that we were together and kept you from being able to complete what you wanted to share with us. But it's a joy to have you back with us this evening, and I welcome you to the show, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well,
I'd like to welcome everyone who is tuned in and watching as well. Thank you for joining the Marcia Weekes Show on this Friday, the 28th of August, 2026. And this evening, I'd like to just back up what our host has been saying with regard to biological weapons as well as gain of function. And I've posted 3 links into the chat that everybody can see. If you could just bring up the first one, the first link is called the Fauci COVID-19 dossier. And this is an extremely important document to reinforce exactly what you were saying with regard to biological weapons and the patents and the entire procedure from way back in the 1970s all the way to the present day. The Fauci COVID-19 dossier is a large document, and I would recommend that anyone who is going to download and print this document out, please buy a bottle of Fenzik or Advil when you're reading it, because you are going to be blown away. Your head is going to hurt you for a while. Okay, there you go. The Fauci COVID-19 dossier. Okay, this is prepared by one of the leading. I can't even call him an expert. I would say more than a PhD, Dr. David Martin. Okay, this is who we were in contact with at the very beginning of the entire and before the whole COVID-19 scamdemic took place. And Dr. Martin walked us through the intelligence community contacts that we had, and isolated within those contacts the persons that we needed to speak to. And once, I had already known a number of them in the intelligence community, and had the privilege of being present at the debriefing of Dr. Li Mingyan from China, who brought us the documentation with regard to COVID-19 being an unrestricted biological weapon. You can see the other links there, which prove gain of function, and also the entire link for the largest repository of COVID-19 biological weapons data and information pertaining to SARS-CoV-2, as well as the COVID-19 biological weapon injections, is at Dr. Richard Fleming's website, flemingmethod.com. You can go there. The easiest way to get there is just follow the link, flemingmethod.com/documentation, and you will have enough documentation to keep you occupied for at least 2 years. Okay? People ask me all the time, where on earth did you get this information from on the night that you did your COVID-19 town hall meeting on the 18th of August, 2021. I said, well, first of all, it comes from having the right contacts in the right places and then being guided over time to the people who knew what they were talking about. These are people who actually produce and research the evidence as it stands. And when I did my town hall meeting on the 18th of August, 2021, the president of the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners was actually present at that meeting. She said not one single word for my entire presentation until at the very end, when I was forced to stop speaking by the moderator. And then she jumped up and tried to refute everything I'd said. No. At the end of that meeting, and I want the audience to be very clear about what I'm saying. At the end of that meeting, I entered the meeting armed with documented evidence of unnatural death. 43,000 deaths had been recorded since the rollout of January of 2021, previous to that, as well as up to the present day, in the United States of America, hidden in a military database. That evidence was provided to us by the lawyers that filed the case in the Southern District of Alabama. I printed it out, I bound it, and I came to the town hall meeting on the 18th of August, 2021, and I presented that document. I think it was 86 pages of the court case that was filed against the government of the United States of America for Pfizer vaccines. I presented that evidence directly into the hands of the Deputy Prime Minister, Miss Cynthia Bradshaw. The public is witness to this. The public that was there that night is witness to this. And I could play several telephone calls right now and bring those people onto the show that would back up what I'm saying. The evidence of harm was already present. The evidence of death, unnatural death, and mass death was already present. That evidence was presented directly to the Deputy Prime Minister of Barbados on that night. Okay? Now remember, on the 18th of August 2021 was the night before the launch of the Pfizer COVID-19 biological weapon injection, which was on the 19th of August 2021, the night before. And the reason that I chose that last town hall meeting was because I wanted it to be an ambush. And that's exactly what it was. The government of Barbados was ambushed. It was presented with the evidence. And instead of saying, hang on a second, let's call a halt here. Let's ask some questions. Where did this research come from? Let's find out where this research come from. But instead, the chief medical officer, other incompetents, as well as the president of the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners, said nothing, doubled down, and forced and coerced the public of Barbados into a vaccine agenda that was perpetrated by the private sector of Barbados. The private sector was who pushed the COVID-19 agenda, not the government, not the government. The government never mandated vaccines to be taken by anybody in Barbados. And the Prime Minister admitted that in wording. She said, we are not mandating anything. That's not who we are. But she coerced the private sector into doing it. The private sector became the gunmen, and the public suffered the results. Now, the most important thing is, and I want to reinforce the ticker tape at the bottom of this show, we are not here to give medical advice. We're here to present the facts as they are. And the facts as they are as follows. The government of Barbados knew 4 to 5 months before the announcement of anything called COVID that Barbados would be the recipient of biological weapon injections that will be used against the population without informed consent. The government of Barbados also knew that the private sector would be empowered, whether they liked it or not, to force the public into taking these biological weapons. The government of Barbados also was fully aware that other countries who had questioned this were subjected to extreme measures against certain presidents and so on of African countries, and right here in the Caribbean region, in the country of Haiti, who denied the authority for use of biological weapons against their populations. Presidents of those countries were assassinated. Okay? The government was aware of this, said nothing, said absolutely nothing. And the reason that I stood up on the 18th of August 2021, virtually 6 months after the rollout of the global bioweapon injections agenda, was because between the 16th of January 2021 and the 18th of August 2021, when I did my town hall meeting, I had already lost 16 family members. 16.
Wow.
Today, the number of family members and close friends now stands at 51.
Wow.
51. That's just me. That's just me. Yes, I have a large family and many friends around the world and so on and so forth. 51. Now, at the end of the day, the documentation surrounding COVID-19 is irrefutable. And the reason that I have always spoken out, and the reason that I've always hammered the president of the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners back under the rock whenever she opens her mouth, is because I have the data, I have the facts. Unfortunately, the president of the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners has always come to the public without a single shred of evidence to back up anything she has ever said to the public. She can provide no evidence of efficacy and safety of vaccines. She can provide zero evidence of the ability for the programs that she is running to be of benefit to Barbadians. And she has never once engaged the public in a question and answer session with regard to the programs that she is running on behalf of the Pan American Health Organization. And let us be very clear. The Pan American Health Organization runs the medical fraternity in Barbados, as they do across the Caribbean region. The medical fraternity is run by the Pan American Health Organization. That is who is paying them via the World Health Organization, and Barbados is actually the chair of the World Health Organization Executive Committee. That is a fact. Now, at the end of the day, we, as the populace of Barbados, have a serious problem on our hands, where due to the influence of the Pan American Health Organization, the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education is enforcing or attempting to mandate consent. Mandate consent. In other words, your children are not going to be allowed to be educated unless you allow us to poison your child. Mandating consent. This is illegal. This is unconstitutional. This is coercion, which is a federal crime. Okay? You cannot mandate consent to force a parent to poison their child just because of an educational situation. Okay? This is extortion of the most lethal kind you could ever want. At the end of the day, the situation comes down to this, and I want to ask all parents this logical question. Everybody who is a parent that's watching this show tonight, ask yourself this question. The Ministry of Education and Ministry of Health is mandating that my child be injected with a lethal cocktail of toxins. And I'm going to provide the evidence for that. And I've already provided the evidence of that in a social media post, which I sent to you, though. Okay?
Yes, I received.
I wish you to put that up on the screen, please. Okay? And let the parents see the level of toxins and the amount of toxins that are in vaccines for children. So let's ask the parents a logical question. If I asked you to walk into Carter and Company and pick up a 750 milliliter bottle of garden wine, Gramoxone, and tell your child to drink it, would you do it? Of course not. So when you see the amount of toxins that are in vaccines, why are you allowing your child to be vaccinated just because someone tells you that you can't engage in education unless you have your child poisoned? Not only that, but let's ask another logical question. You're telling the parents, and then talking to the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health, you're telling parents that their child cannot be educated unless you allow them to poison your child. So the logical question here is, how do you expect my child to be educated and learn, be actually receiving of a proper education, if you have degraded their ability to think, you have degraded their ability to make proper choices, you have degraded their ability to receive instruction, they become rebellious, and you have degraded their ability to obey instruction within the environment of their peers in an educational setting. Okay? Because if it only takes one child to set a bad example, everybody goes. We know this. We were children once too. The most egregious part about this whole thing is that you have a medical institution and you have an educational institution that are mandating the poisoning of our children based upon the fraud of safety and efficacy of a vaccine. Okay? They can provide no evidence of safety or efficacy of a vaccine. More egregiously, the mumps, measles, and rubella vaccine, which is one of the most lethal, they're two of the most lethal vaccines that parents need to avoid. One is the mumps, measles, and rubella vaccine, and the other is the HPV vaccine. The mumps, measles, and rubella vaccine is absolutely lethal. It has in the exact toxins and the nanoscale technology that is found in the COVID-19 mRNA platforms. And the mumps, measles, and rubella vaccines that have been brought into the Caribbean since September of 2024 are mRNA platforms. Every single child that has received an MMR vaccine after September of 2024 received an mRNA shot. In addition to that, the HPV vaccine, which is the most lethal of all, is based upon a myth because there is no such thing as human papillomavirus. It does not exist. And I challenge any medical professional listening to this show tonight to provide the evidence to the Marcia Weekes Show that human papillomavirus exists. It is a theory upon which a poisonous vaccine has been concocted. And Merck Pharmaceuticals has already paid almost $55 million in lawsuits to parents whose children have been injured or dead as a result. We just lost a 14-year-old boy to the HPV vaccine. Okay? Nothing was wrong with this child when he was at school until, and then boom, died of cancer. The HPV vaccine causes bone marrow cancer in children. Okay? That is the bottom line. But yet, parents, because of lack of knowledge, okay? Lack of knowledge. And scripture tells us very clearly, for lack of knowledge, my people are perishing. And that's exactly what is happening here. Now, there's a darker side to the whole PAHO vaccine and immunization schedule. Number one, PAHO has a system called the Immunization Week of the Americas. Every single year, they come into the Caribbean region and engage in a mass poisoning of the population of young children. Hang on a second. They're using a word called immunization. If vaccines are supposed to immunize you from sickness, why are you doing it every year? The truth is, it's nothing to do with immunization. It is a sacrificial ritual. That's what it is. You're sacrificing children. You are taking their cognitive ability to communicate with their Holy Spirit. Okay, that is what it is. The souls of our children are being sacrificed by biological weapons. And then, the darker side of the story. When did PAHO come into the Caribbean region? 1969. Okay? 1969, PAHO first started operations in the Caribbean region and in other third world countries and accelerated their presence from there. For what purpose? Well, there's one very clear purpose, and this follows a long research program. We have always asked ourselves the question, why is it that here in Barbados and across the Eastern Caribbean, there's always a percentage of our youth that is either at odds with the judicial system, in jail, constantly at odds with the law, constantly in some sort of noise or something going on. And in doing our research, one common thread emerged. Every single youth between the ages of 25 and 18 that entered the criminal justice system had a full complement of childhood vaccines. What does this say? This tells you that there is a percentage of the population that is chosen for lethal vaccines. Why? Because there has to be a percentage of the population that is engaging the criminal justice system in order to keep doctors, lawyers, police, judges, and everybody else employed. You understand now what is happening? Do you understand the ramifications of what we're dealing with? And everybody say, oh, the youth ignorant today, the youth don't want work, the youth don't want. Hang on a second, whoa, back up. Children are not born with the propensity for bad behavior. Children are born innocent with the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit. But yet, you're going to blame our youth for being bad behaved when you, the medical fraternity, are engaged in the illegal poisoning of our young children, particularly boys. And in doing our research, it turned out that 15% of our youth in certain populations and certain demographics, okay, are subjected to childhood vaccine injury, neurological problems, constantly disobeying authority. Well, I can't really point the finger at anybody for that because I'm guilty of that myself. I had the childhood vaccines and I've never liked authority. I'm a rebel, okay? That's why we're on this show. The most important thing to understand is this. We have a percentage of the population that is targeted by the medical fraternity in vaccines in order to perpetuate the cycle of the justice system, to keep judges, lawyers, police, and everybody employed because these bad behaved people going around and robbing and stealing and so on and so forth. Now, I'm not saying that there are not other contributing factors because home environment is extremely important to this. But if you have a child that has a propensity to violence because of a vaccine injury and a toxin that has been introduced medically, artificially, you have a greater problem on your hands because the parents then say, I don't know what happened to he. Right. You know what happened to him? The government say, I gotta get my child vaccine. The government tell me I gotta go and get my child vaccinated. So I go to my school and get my child vaccinated. You hear? Right. And where are we today? We're dealing with the fallout of biological warfare, spiritual biological warfare against our younger population. And our young men are being consistently subjected to it. And not only that, but you may have young men who are suffering from vaccine injury, who themselves now have children. And that DNA that has been modified by the vaccine is now coming through in the younger generation. And then when they enter school, they take them and have the same thing done. The cycle is self-perpetuating. And we're dealing with a bombshell of violence, discord, hatred, and everything. Because it has been designed that way. That is what we're dealing with. And the only way we can stop this is do exactly what the country of Japan did in 1992. In 1992, the country of Japan said, enough is enough. They kicked the World Health Organization and all of their cohorts out of the country, stopped childhood vaccines entirely for 10 years. Boom, done. Japan recovered. If Japan, can recover, 200 plus million people can recover and have a sane population again. I'm not saying that they didn't fall for it with COVID-19 because they've lost almost 8 million people already through COVID-19 deaths, okay? But the facts remain, boss. We in the Eastern Caribbean, we in Barbados, we have a choice to make. And our choice is, We are not sacrificing the souls of our children any longer simply because somebody in government or somebody in the Ministry of Education or somebody at BARB says, oh, you have to get your child vaccinated. No. I'm sorry. The souls of our children are precious. Because you know why they're so precious? Because our very existence as a people is precious in the sight of God. We cannot go forward any longer with a position where we are knowingly poisoning our children and expect to prosper. We cannot prosper as a nation. Righteousness, wisdom, and knowledge has to take center stage. And anybody who has a problem with that needs to be shown the door. Okay? And I think there are a couple of people that are going to be shown the door fairly shortly. All right? Now, at the end of the day, the most important thing is you just got to make sure that the door don't slap them when they're going out, you know? But we will give them the benefit of the doubt. The situation remains this. Okay, we have a situation where the medical fraternity wants to come now and say, oh, well, we're spreading misinformation. Hello. Can you define misinformation for us, please? Now, you asked the chairman of the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners to define misinformation. So, Dr. Williams, if you're listening to this program, could you define for our audience, please? Just type it into the comments. Define misinformation for us, okay? The reason that you cannot define misinformation is because you are fully immersed in it yourself and you believe that your version of the definition of misinformation is your own truth. Unfortunately, I have news for you, okay? Is that your version of the truth is not only misinformation, but it is based on total ignorance, okay? And the reason that ignorance persists is because you refuse to do the research to lay hold of the facts. It is extremely important for the public of Barbados and all of us as parents to understand the greater picture. The greater picture is Barbados is losing its population. We have heard the Prime Minister stand up and talk about, oh, we have to have conversations about our declining population. Well, if you're poisoning the population and you expect it not to decline, I mean, like, duh. At the end of the day, we're bringing in people by the plane load every day or every week, okay, from Africa, pregnant women coming off of a flight every week to have their babies in Barbados and so on, and then perhaps stay or perhaps return. We don't know. We're arresting some of these women around here for prostitution and all the rest of it. So we're actually engaging in human trafficking. The government of Barbados is engaged in human trafficking in some bizarre attempt, okay, to boost the population numbers of this country. Is that what you're telling us? So human trafficking is supposed to be boosting the population of Barbados? There's an earpiece flight in the air as we speak. As I am speaking right now, I'm tracking an earpiece flight in the air that will arrive in Barbados in the early hours of tomorrow morning from Nigeria with 200 plus souls on board. And over 180 of those are pregnant women coming from Africa. Those are the facts. You doubt me? Go to the airport or wait till the flight lands and see who turns up to welcome them. See who turns up to welcome them. Right, so let's not get, I digress. That's just a little fact that people need to know. At the end of the day, the most important thing, boss, is this. We cannot continue to poison our population any longer. The president of the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners has stepped outside the realm of her expertise by my order of magnitude. She has absolutely no qualifications in virology. She has no qualifications in medical research. She has zero qualifications in intelligence with regard to the development of biological weapons, and she refuses every single overture to get her into a position where she can educate herself, because she believes that the CDC, the FDA, the World Health Organization, and PAHO are the ministries of truth in her little bubble. Well, I have news for her. That bubble is about to burst. And I'll tell you the reason why it's about to burst. Okay? Yesterday, the and I'm going to post this link into the chat. Yesterday, the FDA approved new mRNA vaccines based on the data from not clinical trials or anything like that. Okay, just listen to this. I'm going to read this to the public. The FDA has abandoned all pretense of medical safety. Yesterday, they have just approved the new Pfizer and Moderna XFG boosters for COVID-19 based on data from fewer than 10 mice. You heard that correctly. Based on data from fewer than 10 mice. There were no human trials and no safety studies conducted. The FDA are rolling out these to elderly and infants as young as 6 months old. After the millions of injuries and deaths already linked to these shots, the regulators are once again treating the citizens of the world like expendable lab rats. The same agencies that told you the previous shots were safe while ignoring the resulting wave of heart damage, cancer, and permanent disability are doing it again. Okay? No human clinical trial data on the new XFG formulations were available before approval. The required human safety and immunogenicity studies begin after FDA approval. Now, can you tell me what level of madness can you expect to result from this kind of thing? Please tell me.
And the thing about it is, Fred, that and I want the loyal opposition to hear this, and I want the public to hear this, along with the fact that we posted it here. The Marcia Weekes Show is not giving medical advice. We are stating facts. And I want everybody to understand this very, very clearly, because I don't want anybody to get into their press conferences and indicate, as I saw here, I have the article in front of me about people giving medical advice. Okay? We posted it here. The Marcia Weekes Show does not provide medical advice. Medical decisions should be discussed with a qualified healthcare professional. What we can do and what we're doing is we are researching the information that we have received, and we are producing the facts. All I would say to those persons who are opposed to what we are saying is bring your facts. Mm-hmm. Bring your evidence. It's really simple. You know, there's one thing I will say, Fred, that the president did indicate, and I would agree with her. She said this, and I quote, "The only way to counteract misinformation is with correct information." She's correct. She's absolutely correct.
She's absolutely correct.
Okay, she's correct. So
my logical question is this. My logical question is this, boss man. Why isn't she practicing it?
Exactly. If we are sharing misinformation, bring the correct information. Show that the information that we have shared concerning the individuals which we have called names. You can do your research. We have not hidden it anywhere. We have not made ambiguous statements. We have been very specific. When you have Japan making a position, the European Union making a position, these are not matters that are hidden. I observed investigations by the European Union ongoing. Any one of you can go and research it yourself, and you will find myriads of videos on Facebook, on YouTube, myriads of videos with not only the European Union's investigations, but the United States Congress and the United States Senate. And you will find countries that are shutting it down. As a matter of fact, you know, Fred, even, and this might be a digression, I can't remember which country, I think it's Italy, and along with several other European countries, have banned any meat coming into Europe outside of natural beef. All of the Bill Gates manufactured lab meat has been banned from coming in. And I believe the Minister of Health, I would call him, R.F. Kennedy, I think is his name, in the United States. He has also banned the sale of this lab-produced meat in the United States. So all I'm saying is there is information out there. Dr. Williams, with all due respect to you, I'm not going to debate your qualifications as a doctor in whatever area you practice. That is entirely up to you. I'm not one of your patients. I can't speak. I have to leave that there for your patients to talk. With regards to that, you probably have been very good with them. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
right.
when it comes to this matter, when it comes to these matters that we're discussing, particularly, I take umbrage, I think is the word, as it relates to the matters of misinformation, because we have produced evidence, we have produced facts. All we are saying is, ma'am, if we are wrong, if we are sharing false information, please produce the evidence that everybody can see, and that will be the end of the discussion. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
Well, look, Fred, I got to push on for the evening. In terms of we have so much to cover. I appreciate you coming in, and I thank you so much for being so persistent in terms of overcoming your technological issues and so forth. And I appreciate all of the information you sent to me. I will tell you that I have been reading it. I have been researching it. These are not things that are hidden in the dark. These are, as a matter of fact, I have to find out which doctor. You might be able to give me his name. But as he was in the process of revealing and exposing all of this, he turned up dead. And he's not the only one. There's several other medical professionals, and I wish we had the time to go into those videos, who have turned up dead as a result of their questions. There's one doctor in the Europe, and I wish I had sent this video. He is on video speaking, and his license was revoked because he asked questions. He asked questions. He did not oppose. He asked questions, and they said, you don't have a right to ask questions. You will do what we tell you, and they revoked his license to practice medicine. Of course, it's being reinstated now. But these are the autocratic, dictatorial aspects of the WHO and other governmentally linked, complicit individuals who have acted in this manner. So anyone who has evidence to the contrary, we are more than happy. You can send your evidence to 2367000. That's the number for this show. We'll be happy to share it here, and that will put an end to the discussion. All right. So
just on one point, I saw as part of your discussion tonight that you were discussing the St. Lucie water issue. I will remain in the background if you need to ask any questions, because I have some pertinent data that the public needs to know that I've spoken about on several occasions already. Okay, so you can call me back in when you're ready. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Fred. Appreciate you being here tonight. Yeah, it is nighttime, and I haven't received any shots that I'm not doing anything. Okay, folks. I am not COVID-19 vaccinated. I did not suffer from it, as I am African, and I spend a lot of time outside of my house in the sun. And I will just leave it at that. Okay? You're not a victim of the spray roach syndrome. No, I'm not. I have not drunk the Kool-Aid. All right. Well, Fred, thank you so very much, man. God bless, and thank you for coming on the show tonight. Really appreciate it. God bless you. Well, folk, as you've heard, I mean, Mr. Corbin has indicated several things. I will repeat again that we are not anti-vaxxers. I want to make this very clear. There are some vaccines that we have no problems with, but when people start to question and cast aspirations, especially on myself, and I take it personally, I do not joke about it. I take it personally when people attempt to cast aspirations and to make it appear as though we are spreading rumors and innuendos and all this misinformation. We have to defend ourselves. So we're going to move on tonight to this Codrington reparations that we have. And I think you would have been aware that this has been in the media, I think, and in the forefront of things recently. And so, Dave, I'm going to ask you to please go right ahead and share this aspect of the show tonight. Am I seeing Marcia's image there? Marcia, are you there?
Well, welcome back to the Marcia Weekes Show. And today we have a very, very interesting conversation to bring to you, a special edition of the Marcia Weekes Show. Today, we're going to have what I believe is, as I said, a very important conversation. And this is about Codrington Estate. The title of our discussion is Codrington, Reparations for Whom? The Tenants and Farmers Speak. Now, many of us know Codrington College. I, for one, I love to go there, love to feed the ducks. But many of us know something about its history. Might be a little bit, but perhaps far few of us have heard from the people who have actually lived on the estate, farmed the land, rented there, raised families there, and continue to have a direct relationship with Codrington Estate even up to today. And that is the perspective I want us to hear. I was contacted by representatives advocating on behalf of the Codrington Estates and Farmers Union, and they have raised concerns about the day-to-day management of the estate. But as I began looking at the documents surrounding Codrington, I realized that this conversation goes much further, because there is now a Barbados 18 million reparations project associated with this very estate. I'm sure a lot of you who go there to feed the ducks and to take pictures, that you might not even know about that. And to understand why, we have to understand the history. The documents tell us that the Society for the Propagation of the Gospel, they took possession of the Codrington plantations in 1712, along with the enslaved African men, women, and children. USPG itself estimates that somewhere between 600 and 1,200 enslaved people lived and died at Codrington, and acknowledges that profits generated from their labor helped support the society's missionary activities. Think about that contradiction. A Christian organization proclaiming the gospel while simultaneously benefiting from the enslavement of human beings. And USPG has acknowledged that history apologized for it and committed approximately Barbados $18 million over a period of 10 to 15 years toward what has been described as reparative action at Codrington. But that brings us to the questions we're asking today. Reparations for whom? What has this project meant for the people connected to Codrington Estate? What has it meant for the farmers? What about the tenants? What voice do they have in determining what happens to this land? What has changed since the multi-million-dollar project was announced? And perhaps most importantly, who gets to decide what reparative justice looks like? I don't want to answer these questions. I can't answer these questions. And so I have with me here a historian, Steve Cushion, who lives in the UK and works in the UK. And we also have, most importantly, Mr. Keith Ford, who is a tenant and a farmer at Codrington. So let me just welcome them at this moment. Welcome, Mr. Ford. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, great to have you. Great to have you. And you sound good and you look good. Good to have you, sir. And we also have, yes, Mr. Steve Cushion. Mr. Steve Cushion, who is a historian and lives in the UK. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes. But, you know, as in my introduction, you know, Keith, I was saying that I love to go to Codrington. It's such a peaceful place for me. And I feed the ducks and we take a lot of pictures. I actually did a film there. Barrow Freedom Fighter was filmed. Part of it was actually filmed there. But I didn't even realize that there. I didn't think about the community around there, and or that they have farmers and all of that. Can you tell me your association with Codrington? Give us a little history of yourself and how have you come to be associated with Codrington? You're muted, Keith. You're muted.
Yes, I was born and raised in Barbados, and I was raised on the Codrington Estate. I farmed land on the Codrington Estate, and as a youngster growing up, the Codrington Estate or the Codrington compound was our community centre, for want of a better word. We played cricket there, we played football there, we played tennis. There was a lawn tennis court there. We watched television within the college compound. So it was much like a community center, and there was a lot of community spirit there. You had football every evening. But nowadays, there's nothing like that there. You can't. You're kind of restricted from going on the compound as such, and all the space on the compound now is being rented. The compound has been put under the Codrington Estate Development Company Limited. So even if you're going to take pictures, you're supposed to get permission to go to take pictures, yes. And you have to pay a hefty sum just to take pictures on the lawn. So yeah, it's gone far from a community. It's gone far from a community spirit in relation to what it was when I was growing up.
Wow, a lot has changed, because I know we would be able to years ago just walk in and take our pictures and sit down on the steps and so on. And when you go there now, I mean, just there's a lot of restrictions. But let me just go to Mrs. Steve Cushion. You're all the way in the UK. What's your connection to Codrington Estates?
I'm a historian, and I've recently published a book entitled "Slavery in the British Empire and Its Legacy for the Modern World." In doing the research for that, I started looking at various enslavers to see how much they made and so on. And one of the ones I came across was the Codrington family. And they were Christopher Codrington's father, who seems to have been a complete ne'er-do-well, was governor of the islands and so on. And he got the original Codrington estate. He sent his son to England, where he became a favourite, as they called them, of King William IV. And I slowly sort of then saw his relationship with the Society of the Propagation of the Gospel and so on. And I've been to Barbados, I've visited Barbados, I've visited Codrington College, and it really struck me that on the one hand, you've got this beautiful building, as you so rightly say.
Yes.
But it's named after a man who was effectively guilty of a crime against humanity. That putting those together then made me kind of interested in what might happen. The other part of the Codrington money, or another part of it, went to All Souls College, Cambridge, All Souls College, and they have at Oxford, and they have changed the name of their library that was the Codrington Library. They have entered into negotiations with the Reparations Commission of Barbados and so on, and put a big plaque up dedicated to those who were enslaved on the... I don't see anything of that sort from the Codrington estate. And it seems to me that they are just... They've offered this, unilaterally offered this 18 million that they speak of, 18 million Barbados dollars, £7 million, which is a very small amount of money compared to the money that they made from the labor of the enslaved Africans.
Yeah, you know, as I read through the documents, I couldn't help but ask myself, how did they arrive at $18 million? Keith, I wondered to myself, but this $18 million project, from what I'm understanding from you, Keith, is that Codrington is now part of this project, okay? And because of that project, the day-to-day management, running of Codrington has changed. What has it meant for the tenants?
No, slight correction. It hasn't changed because of the project. It has changed because of the management. The running of the estate was bad before the project. Also, with regards to the project, the 18 million is an amount that was requested by the Codrington Trust. And if you look at the USPG paperwork, the USPG refers to it as an investment. So it's hard to see how an investment can be a reparation payment, because with an investment, you're looking to make a profit. And if you're looking to make a profit, is that then reparations? I don't understand that concept.
So
in regards to
investment back into Codrington.
Well, if it's investment into Codrington, then how is it reparations for the atrocities that were committed on the estate? It doesn't make sense. With regards to the management, the estate has been grossly mismanaged for quite some time. If you look at the laws of Barbados, I think it's Cap 244, I think it may be, which is the management of the estate is a set of bylaws which were written as far as I know by the Codrington Trust, and it was put into act in Barbados, and I think it's Cap 244. That cap requires the management of the estate to maintain in good husbandry all of the land which is not rented. So it means that any land that is not rented is supposed to be either maintained in cultivation and stuff. And the Codrington Trust has refused to do that. So it's kind of like you're managing the estate with total disregard of the law. And if the estate being now in financial difficulties, surely the decision not to keep the land in good husbandry, meaning that you're not farming the land. If you're not farming it, you can't make any money from it. Is this a direct link to the estate now being in financial difficulty? All of these things need to be looked at, and somebody needs to be held accountable if this is the case, you know. But the Codrington Trust don't want to have these conversations. You know, they don't want to have these conversations. They're talking about the reparation project. Okay, the Codrington reparation project, it is supposed to benefit the tenants and the residents. Are we supposed to get some benefit from it? And what the Codrington Trust wants me to accept is that they're providing reparations to me by allowing me to purchase my house plot. Now, the laws of Barbados give me the right to purchase my house plot since the 1980s. So how then can it be that by allowing me to purchase my house plot, you're paying reparations? It doesn't make sense. If you are now allowing me to purchase my house plot, have you been a hindrance in me purchasing my house plot before? And if you have been stopping me from purchasing my house plot, then you have been breaking the law. Because as a qualified tenant, if I request to purchase my house plot, the landlord is obligated to sell it to me.
Correct.
So if the Codrington Trust was refusing to sell persons their house plot, they're breaking the law. And again, somebody needs to be held accountable for that. So these are the stuff that we need to have the conversation about. But as I said, the Codrington Trust is reluctant to have the conversations.
Yeah, very interesting. I see Mr. Brathwaite there, and I wonder if he's ready to join. But you are so correct. I'm here looking at my notes here. That since 1980, the Tenantry Freehold Purchase Act says that if you're a qualified tenant, you can purchase. So that's no reparations. And you're saying that is all that they're offering. They're not taking care of the land. They're not taking, facilitating the farming of the land, etc. Do you pay rent? Are you paying rent to Codrington for using that land, Keith, as Ian gets ready to come in?
Yeah, I pay rent. I haven't paid any rent for the last couple of years because I've had issues that the Codrington Trust refused to really engage upon and get rectified. So until those issues are sorted, I've decided to hold on the rent. I've got encroachments on my lot, and every time you go to the trust, it's with this person, it's with the lawyer, we're looking for surveys. It's always an excuse, and nobody's doing anything about the situation. So I've hold my rental payments until such time as I can get these issues resolved.
Yes. And I'm going to come back to you, Mr. Ford, but let me bring Mr. Brathwell. Mr. Brathwell, welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show.
A very pleasant day to you.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you. We're hearing you loud and clear. In Barbados, or where exactly are you?
I'm in Barbados. I'm in Barbados.
And are you at Codrington Estates right now?
Yeah, I'm not at the estate right now, but I'm a resident at the estate, and that is where I reside.
That's where you reside. How long have you been living at the estates, sir?
Well, I grew up on that estate. I'm 67 years.
You're 67 years old, and you
I was on that. I grew up with my great grandmother, and I went with my great grandmother when I was about 3 years young.
Yes. So that's
the time that I was on that plantation.
That's all your life. Tell me about life on the Codrington Estates. What has it been like?
Well, it's a great life because, as you know, Codrington College is the oldest seminary, theological seminary in the Western Hemisphere. So to even hold that as a tribute is great, and it was always a spiritual place. But in the early days, college had glass bottle railings. College was really fortified. The walls were up, and at the top of the walls there was glass bottle at the top of the walls. So that as you climb up on the wall, you couldn't get over. And then there was the swimming pool.
Well, a very, very, very interesting series that is upcoming. This is just part one here that you're listening to with regards to Codrington Reparations for Whom. And in several of the upcoming shows, we'll be continuing to share. There's a lot with regards to Codrington and this entire process, the reparations aspect of Codrington that are going to be upcoming in the shows that we're going to have in the future. So obviously we can't cover all of it in one show, but we will certainly be coming back to it in the future shows that we're having. And God willing, probably in every single one of them, we'll be sharing some of this. All right. So tonight we want to bring quickly in as well Ms. Rose Corbin. I want to see. I don't see her there. I saw her there a moment ago. Dave, if you could touch bases with her for me, please, and just see what is happening. Maybe she's having some technical issues, and we'd love to have her back in. I know we have to move on to another segment here at 8:30, but we went a bit over there with the Codrington matter because it is important. It is very important. As a matter of fact, when I started to do research, I was stunned. I was stunned at the information, and I think I heard the historian talk about the ludicrous aspect of £7 million. Absolutely ludicrous. So we'll be joining with them in some of the future shows to continue the discussion with regards to the Codrington reparations. Well, I see Rose is in the studio, so let me bring her in. That's fine, Rose. You don't necessarily have to turn on your camera. That's entirely up to you. But are you hearing us?
I'm hearing you clearly.
Oh, wonderful. And we are hearing you clearly as well. I'm so sorry. We are way behind in terms of the time that we had indicated to you to come on. And hopefully Apostle will be gracious enough to lend you some of his time. We had indicated about 15 or 20 minutes. So Rose, I'm going to just step back out of the way and give you the opportunity to proceed. But welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show. It's a joy to have you joining us again, if I may say, on the show this evening.
Thank you so much. I always welcome your gracious welcome, and a privilege to be here with you this Friday evening again. Do pardon me, Pastor Purdy, and listeners and viewers for not being on camera. And
that's fine. That's fine. That's not a problem.
That will be rectified soon. I'm not being discourteous or impolite. I want to welcome my friends and my Marcia Weekes Show family with my usual greeting. Good evening, loyal sons and daughters, all firm craftsmen and women and youth. I'm adding that in.
Yes.
Since I've been speaking tough and about youth. You would remember that last Friday evening at the tail end of my session, I spoke briefly to a newspaper article carried in that same Friday's Weekend Nation, Friday, August the 21st, with the caption, PM worried about the future of the youth. I could not attend to it. I just said it and referred to it in passing. And I was so pleased. Then Dr. Derry Allen, a friend of mine and a great practitioner, as well as one well-versed in the theory of youth and community development, when he paid much attention to that same article and he brought his analysis to it. And so I am not going to repeat what he would have said, but I'm going to extract from that speech some of my own concerns and permit me.
We lost you there. We've lost you there, Rose. You've dropped out. I'm not hearing your voice. If you're speaking, we're not hearing you. You've dropped out of our system. And then maybe she needs to go out and come back in. We've been having some challenges in this area with the internet. I would think that in 2026 we would have got past that, but apparently we are not. In the meantime, I'm going to welcome Apostle Scantlebury. Good evening, Apostle.
Good evening, sir.
Welcome. Good evening. And I'm going to beg your indulgence to share a few of your minutes with Rose when she comes in. We did run a little behind time with the Codrington Reparations matter. We did want to start that, and we're going to be carrying it on. Let me see if she's able to come back in, but I just want to welcome you to the show. And are you hearing us, Rose? Hi, Rose. Are you hearing us? Rose? No, I'm not. I'm not hearing her. I have two of her in the back room, Apostle. So I don't know if she's. I don't know if she's cloning herself. With all these things that are happening these days. With lab meat and all of that. I hope that Rose has not been caught up in all of that.
I hope
she's not being caught up in. I hope not. I hope not. So, but good to have you joining us. I know that you're going to be engaging the aspect of the press conference the Prime Minister had in St. Lucie. I did listen to a bit of the show on Wednesday. Let me see if this is her back here. Hello, Rose. If you can confirm just hearing us, Rose, you don't have to turn on your camera. I am seeing you in the background, but it's more important that we hear you more, even so, than see you. That's so you'd have to confirm if you're hearing us. Apparently, she's not. You're hearing us yet, Rose? Apparently, she is not hearing us, Apostle. So maybe while we wait for her. Maybe while we wait for her to get the matters sorted out, you could give us a quick synopsis of what you will be looking into, and just be prepared for us to be interrupted if she is able to get back in. I hope she can, to finish what she wanted to share this evening. But we have been having some internet issues. I don't know if down on your end you're getting any problems, but we have been having some internet issues.
Yeah, this has been a big problem across the island for quite a while right now. And I would say mostly once they rolled out this whole 5G situation here. We had a case where some cases, if a call drops out, it eventually comes back in once you get to a place where there's better coverage. But now, 30 seconds into a call is just completely dropping out. And I think something has to be done here in Barbados, because this is ridiculous. This is not proper service for the types of monies that are being given to these persons for internet service.
Do you have a link here?
Rose. Rose, are you hearing us now? Hello.
Let's say I'm back.
Yes, I'm hearing you, but are you hearing us?
Yes.
I'm seeing two of you. I'm seeing. Yes, are you hearing us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, well, I have Apostle in as well, and I have two of you. I'm just wondering, are you cloning yourself?
Yeah.
Rose? Are you hearing us, Rose? You're very muffled, and like I said, we have two of you, so I don't know which of you. I don't know which of you to go to. Yes, that's the one. I got you there. Are you hearing me?
I can hear you, Pastor Purdy, but
you
there's an echo.
Okay, don't worry about the echo. You go ahead and share. Apostle is on with you, so you go right ahead and share what you wanted to share this evening.
Yes, and I do believe that both you and Apostle would engage with me on this too, because I know this is a concern of his and yours. And we are speaking about the Prime Minister's remarks on the rededication of the Marcus Garvey Amphitheater. And the news reported her at saying that she's concerned about the nation's future, as she feared that Badian youth do not have a sense of identity. And this was said to me, I found it embarrassing, in the presence of Marcus Garvey's son, 98-year-old Dr. Julius Garvey. And instead, for me, again, instead of the Prime Minister belling the troublesome fact in the room and identifying the causes and factors contributing to this lack or absence or even loss of sense of identity, and taking governmental responsibility for it, she continued her sweet, what I call speechifying. And she went on to say, the difficulty is that we live in a world where the ability to find truth is being blurred daily by artificial things, blurred by those who just simply want to be able to create and tell different stories that do not relate to the reality of the truth. The efforts of others to retell our story in recent years must be a concern, because deep down, we know that if you don't know yourself and where you've come from, then your ability to claim one's destiny and to work your way through it becomes that much easier. She continued, I fear that our young people are in danger of walking open-eyed into captivity yet again. This time, the captivity is not the enslavement of human bodies, but it is truly the enslavement of human mind. And I wrote after that script, applause, wonderful Pan-African speech. Mr. Prime Minister, Madam Prime Minister, you're not in Ghana. You're not in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, at the African Union Heads of State and Government Conference. Let us get back to our reality. And I made a note as to asking her actually, why is she worried? What is that identity that she's concerned about? When we speak of a sense of identity, we are basically speaking about awareness and understanding of yourself. Is this what she's concerned about? And I'm asking, how did we get here? And Apostle and Pastor Ferdy, I am looking at the last 8 years. The Prime Minister would have been responsible for a set of young people between ages 15 and 29. That is the age that the government of Barbados has designated as youth. Now, in 2018, those who would have been 15 then are now 22 years of age. Amongst they would have voted, some would have voted in 2022 and 2026. In 2018, we had a group of 29 years old who would be 37 now. I am asking, let's forget the years that went before. Let's forget the last decade. Let us speak directly, Madam Prime Minister, to those youth who would have voted for you between 2018 and 2026. Are you speaking about the loss of sense of identity amongst those young people who would have gone to the polls between 2018 and 2026? I'm being fair to you. These are your responsibilities. And one thing that I have been considering is that when you speak to the sense of identity, that speaks also to a sense of belonging. They are all interwoven. One sense of identity is determined by a sense of belonging. Could it be that that sense of belonging that you are concerned about? No, I mean the sense of identity that you are worried about is being eroded by a lack of sense of belonging. And where the sense of belonging is, that defines the sense of identity, and I identify that. There's a sense of marginalization. This undermines one's sense of belonging and subsequently affects one's sense of identity. Among these young people, this poverty, abject poverty, that undermines one's sense of identity. This hunger, this lack, underemployment, unemployment, little or no opportunity for socio-economic development and growth. poor housing. Many of them, these same young people that you seem to be worried about, are still living in cramped, poor housing conditions. Then their sense of identity is undermined by mandatory fees by the government, dependency on the government. Their sense of identity is undermined by the devaluing of the vote. Dollars and tangibles for the vote. One sense of identity is tied to the vote and to the practice of democracy associated with that vote. So when you buy that vote, devaluing the vote by offering the youth tangible, short-lived, short-term, tangible, a rice shirt, a few dollars, and fat. These things undermine one's sense of identity. We don't even have to speak, my fellow men of God, about this Zeda culture. And it's in fact on what has now become the foundation of the youth culture. So not only are we having the text, but we have the Zeda culture with its dirty music, its bad behavior, its recklessness, its law-breaking practices. These things should be worrying and not that African speak. This regard for law and order. These things should be worrying you, Madam Prime Minister. You shouldn't be sleeping, you should be tossing and turning. And don't give me that rhetoric that is grounded in humanism. Look at the reality here in Barbados. Another thing that came to mind, that is this whole thing of perpetuating that myth that young Black Bajan males, the young ones, do not like to work. This is now a self-fulfilling prophecy that is now a reality. And why, if they don't want to work? Low wages, no job security, and many of them went to the polytechnic and skills training to acquire skills for the labor force. Is it wasted money? And now we're saying that they don't want to do it. So we're bringing in migrant, low-paid workers, laborers. This is worrying. These are the things that undermine the self-identity and the sense of identity. And there's no hope for these young people or prospect of owning a piece of land or getting their own homes. They are only into the disposable. They can't make a living. And these things erode and undermine one sense of identity. Gentlemen, you know that if you were to become demoralized, displaced, disenchanted, how would it affect your sense of identity?
Well, to be honest with you, Rhodes, I would have to say, and I'm sure Apostle would agree with me, it certainly would have an impact on us. And I have no doubt it has been having an impact on many of our youth, some of who I see on the side of the street and I talk with them. And what I see and what I hear is troubling. It's very troubling. But listen, Rose, I wish we had more time. You know, we're running a tight program tonight because we've run a little bit behind. And I'm going to ask you to hold on to the rest of this for part 2. And maybe next Friday, or probably next Friday, I'd like to ask you to keep in mind coming back on with us, remembering where you are at and remembering where we pause, that aspect of if it happened to us, how would we feel? And I will say this one thing. The Prime Minister and the government is responsible for establishing the parameters for people to make a living. They're not supposed to be dictating to people how to do things and that type of, they're supposed to be facilitators. That's what a government is supposed to do so that people can get about their lives and get about their futures. And unfortunately, that has not been the case. You know, the Prime Minister is extremely good at word salads, but when it comes to actually doing the work and seeing things happening on the ground, that's a totally different subject altogether. But I want to thank you, Rose. I'm not cutting you, except that we got to move to the next aspect. Otherwise, I'm going to run out of time because we do want to take some of the comments coming in from our loyal opposition as well. So I want to ask you to hold and bring that information back the next time we're together. All right? Is that okay?
Yes,
thank you so very much. And I really would look forward to that. I think, Apostle, that we could probably even engage it as a discussion when she comes back in. You know, this is something that I believe we need to pay attention to our young people. They are struggling. All right. So, Rose, thank you so very much. Please make sure you keep in touch with me. You know, you have my number. You can message me, that we can ensure that you're back on the program with myself and Apostle, that we can discuss this further.
Thank you.
You are so very welcome.
Good evening.
And God bless you. God bless you. Love you. Take care. Huh? Take care. Much love. Much love. Much love.
Bye-bye.
God bless. Well, Apostle, I wish we had more time. I really do. You know, sometimes you wonder if you can't expand time. You don't know how we're going to get that done, but
life where you're having fun out there.
Yeah, absolutely. But listen, I want to give you some extra time because we've dug into your time quite a lot. As a matter of fact, I've done in all 28 minutes into your time. So I want to give you the time. And I do have Mr. Fred Corbin in the background. He indicated to me earlier in the show that he has some recent information. So you can let me know, you know, at what point I can bring him in to join the conversation with regards to this matter of water in St. Lucie.
Yeah.
Just so you know, Apostle, when my mother moved to Boscobel, they didn't have running water, you know. We used to have
no.
to drive. We used to have drive my father's 2000 Triumph all the way to nearly St Andrew to get water in 6-gallon drums to come back to Boscobel. And we got good clean water back then.
Village.
Yes, and we got good clean water then. I don't know what has happened since, but you will tell us.
Yes. Yeah. Well, first of all, Rev, good night to you. And again, great to be here on the show with you tonight. Good night to all of our loyal opposition and those of us who connect with the Marcia Weekes Show and everything that's happening. It's difficult to go around the country right now and not meet someone that is very excited about what we're doing on the show.
Yes, true.
On a weekly basis. So very happy about this. Just a few things I want to say here before we have Mr. Corbin to come in. I wanted to speak about the recent press release, the press conference that the Prime Minister had in St. Lucie. Just a few things about it to stir up some thinking that I noticed while I was listening to the whole element. And again, I don't. Is there a way to dig a deeper hole for yourself after you've dug the deepest hole? Is that possible?
I don't know. Maybe to get to the other side of the earth. I guess. So.
But first of all, just a few things that I want to say here. Number one, I have a problem with the Prime Minister being in St. Lucie to discuss water issues in St. Lucie without the presence of the sitting representative for the constituency of St. Lucie. I have a problem with that, first of all. Secondly, we have the Ministry of, let me make sure I get it right, the Ministry of Environment, National Beautification and Fisheries implicated in this recent release from the Prime Minister on this conference that she had over there in Allendale. The other element that I have here in my notes is that obviously now the ministry and the Minister of Environment has been implicated as the problem and giving the Suarez Circus permission to be there at the Botanical Gardens at the Bell. So now we understand that Minister Honorable Sanchez Bradshaw, she and her ministry are responsible for that entire element. So I want to go into this because this is also very important. She mentioned that there was an email that was sent 4 days before the opening to the management at Suarez. Even though they did have a show going on, they'd open the Saturday and have the show. So I need to ask questions about that email. Was there confirmation that the email was received by the management of the Suarez Brothers Circus? And can the management of Suarez share that email with the media so that the public can have a clear understanding of what the issue was? Did the Water Authority tell them that they did not have permission to operate, or did they tell them that they did not have the permission to grant them water? So we need to have that clear. That was a permission not to operate or permission not to grant them water, because obviously that was the reason why they moved. So we want to find out what exactly was contained in that email. The Prime Minister said that the aspect of not granting permission was in caps as that email went out. I do not know that the Barbados Water Authority has any permission to tell an entity that it does not have permission to operate. I've never heard of that. I don't know if you have, but I've never heard of that situation. The other element that I need to bring to the fore here is this, the area of governmental protocol. When it comes to the area of permission, wasn't there supposed to be an email copied? Was the email copied to Minister Sacha Bradshaw. Was there an email also sent to the Ministry of Health and Wellness? Was an email sent to the Town and Country Planning Department, which are also other elements that were involved in this situation. I'm really troubled to see that the BWA, they're operating on their own, and I cannot understand how they have that much authority, because as far as I'm concerned, the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the Ministry of Environment has way more authority since Minister Bradshaw. She is Minister of Environment, National Beautification and Fisheries, and the leader of government business. The leader of government business. So I am troubled hearing that the Barbados Water Authority acted correctly, and a statement is being made that when other elements of government don't function properly, then others have to pretty much step up to the plate. And they were happy that at this time the Barbados Water Authority acted properly. They have more authority than the Minister of Government Business. The Water Authority, they have more power than the Deputy Prime Minister. This is troubling. This is very, very troubling. Okay, so is it that you didn't give them permission to operate, or you couldn't provide water for them? Because if you couldn't provide water for them, that is a completely different situation to telling them that they do not have permission to operate at the bell. I actually don't know where Minister Cattle gets in on this situation, because none of this really concerns her. And as far as I'm concerned, watching her response to the public, I really don't know what that is. So I'm asking, which of these government entities, these government departments, in terms of protocol and in terms of seniority, in terms of rank, at what level can the Barbados Water Authority outrank the Minister of Environment, National Beautification and Fisheries, and leader of government business? I need to find out, when can the Water Authority write an email to the management of the Suarez Brothers Circus and tell them, cease and desist. You do not have permission to operate. I do not know where in Barbados have the Water Authority ever commanded that kind of power.
But let me ask a question here of you, Apostle. You might know, and it's a facetious question. Under whose portfolio does the Barbados Water Authority fall?
As far as I know, it's under the Prime Minister.
There you go. There you go. Given, and I made a note while you were talking, and I'm going to bring Fred in just a moment, so I hope he is ready. I made a couple of notes while you were speaking. First one is, that was the first one there, under whose portfolio? Because the Water Authority falls under the Prime Minister's portfolio, as far as I'm aware. I stand to be correct.
There you go.
Secondly, given that whenever there is a crisis, if you can call it that, she is on the scene speaking on the matter. I am puzzled by her silence with regards to the entire circus matter. Because, and again, I stand to be corrected. You can correct me, and I believe when Fred comes on, he can correct me. But I don't recall hearing her voice publicly on this matter, given her position in charge of the Water Authority, who, from our understanding, were the people who said to Soros, "You got to move." It wasn't the Ministry of the Environment. It was the Barbados Water Authority that told them they have to move because you're in a Zone A location. Okay. And then the third question I have to ask you is that where you began, because you said you had a problem or challenge with the press conference being held with the absence of the sitting representative for the constituency.
Yeah, so Lucy, exactly.
Yeah. And what I
have a big
have
problem with
is,
that.
and you can tell me, was there any mention of him, or was there any excuse given for his absence?
No, not from what I heard in the entire press conference here. Nope.
Yeah,
I
you
did
know,
not.
normally, you take for example,
Normally you would hear that.
you know that when we are holding our meetings, regardless of the kind of meeting it is, if somebody's supposed to be there, I expect it to be there, and they're not present. Generally, a statement would be made. Well, Minister so and so or Representative so and so is unable to make it this morning, unfortunately, because of XYZ. And so, you know, at least we would have had an idea. But let me, if it's okay with you, let me bring in Mr. Fred Corbin, if I can.
Sure.
Let me add him into the stage here. Fred, I know you've been listening to. I know you've been listening not just to what the apostle has been saying, but to what Rose has been saying as well. But of course, we want to be a little focused on the matter to do with St. Lucie, because, you know, I don't think people understand how serious this matter is. You know, when we discuss the matters of vaccinations, and of course we're not going there, it would seem to be that losing one or two people to death is not important, as though it does not impact a family and a community and God knows what else, you know. And similarly to me, it is like when you're dealing with this water issue, it's like, you know, it's not that important. Right. And I'm going to be brutally frank with you. I have heard several rumors, but I suspect, and this is just my suspicion, that a by-election is in the offing, which is why the Prime Minister turned up. I suspect so, but that is just my 2 cents. That's just my suspicion. Fred, you heard what Apostle shared. What your thoughts on what he was sharing about there?
Well, thank you for re-inviting me back into the show, boss. And Apostle, you and I have had this discussion already, and it's good to see you, my brother. It's good to see you as well. Good to see you as well. You and I need to have another gathering by you and have some confabulation with regard to some issues and so on. But anyway, yes, sir. At the end of the day, there are two very important factual issues that the people of Barbados need to be aware of. Number one, on the issue of the Suarez circuits, the people of Barbados need to understand that all entertainment, all ALL in capital letters, all entertainment, whether it be a fete, whether it be a party cruise, whether it be a tent holding some sort of gathering or anything like that, the box office for entertainment in Barbados is the Attorney General's office. Okay? Do I make myself clear?
Yeah.
The Attorney General's office is the box office for all entertainment. Tickets for every single entertainment event must be approved by the box office of the Attorney General. Now you understand why the distraction with Water Authority is happening, because the Attorney General's office was denied income. Okay? That's fact number one. Number two, with regard to the Water Authority issue in St. Lucie, what the public is failing to understand, and I've spoken on this several times already, Apostle is witness to this on some of my 246 BHM Vibes radio. The issues in St. Lucie stem from a private development known as Port Ferdinand, which was approved by Prime Minister Owen Arthur.
No, please let the general public know that that is not my port. Okay, Fred, please just let them know that Dr. Ferdinand has nothing to do with that port. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just need the public to be clear before they think that I have something to do with it. Okay.
No. It's nothing to do with that.
Point taken.
Yeah. The most important thing is that the resort project known as Port Ferdinand in St. Lucie, in St. Peter, because it's actually in the parish of St. Peter. It's not in St. Lucie.
Yes.
It's actually in the parish of St. Peter, which was the constituency of Owen Seymour Arthur, the Prime Minister of Barbados at the time. That was given approval without any geophysical survey being done with regard to water resources and a feasibility study on how water resources might be impacted if the development went ahead. In the construction of that resort, the construction team at JADA excavated the coral cliff 310 feet back into the coral cliff, and in so doing, to create the marina, ruptured the St. Lucie aquifer, which is the second largest aquifer in Barbados. Now, all of the aquifers in Barbados are interconnected. Okay? Upon the rupture of the aquifer, nothing was said. Nobody said anything at all. Okay? And the reason that we know this is that because I love diving at night for lobsters and octopus and, you know, so on and so forth. In St. Lucie and St. Peter are one of my favorite swimming places for diving. Okay. Free diving at night, fishing. And I noticed that the water was extremely chilly just off the coast of Port Ferdinand. And I said, hang on a second, something is wrong here. Because I know that the water is usually chilly at certain times of the year, and then at certain times of the year it's not. This was midsummer, and the water is usually not that cold. I said, something is wrong. Then I noticed that there were debris on the bottom of the sand. I thought nothing of it at the time, but then on several recurring visits, I said, let me pick up some of this debris and just look at it closely. Contacted a friend of mine in Belize, who is a botanist. I explained to him what I had found on the ocean floor, and he said, well, there seems to be a freshwater river that's exiting into the sea. And then it hit me. I was like, oh, wow. I sent him some photographs of the samples and so on and so forth, and he identified a very small snail that looked like almost like a little pinnacle, which is only found in the inland parts of Barbados in natural caves. He said that has no business being on the seafloor. That is an inland species that you will find on the interior. That has been washed through that system and is now coming out into the ocean. So I went one step further. I got a hold of a friend of mine, Xavier Dupalier, who is a space analysis expert at Dassault Systems in France. And I asked him, I said, can you give me an infrared image of the bays and inlets of Barbados? And he said, well, what are you looking for? I said, I want to look for the presence of fresh water. He said, okay, fine, I'll send you some analysis. He said, what area specifically were you looking for? So I sent him a Google Earth photograph of the excavation. And he sent me back an infrared image clearly showing the difference in temperature of water, of fresh water, flowing out of the marina into Six Men's Bay. The aquifer at St. Lucie has been ruptured by the development of Port Ferdinand, and nobody said a word. The Allendale Reservoir disappeared. And now they're trying to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear by putting all sorts of different pumping stations and renewing the pipes and so on and so forth. And you have salt water intrusion into the aquifer, and you're trying to clean up contaminated water and feed it to the public. Those are the facts. And there is not a single person in government that can come and dispute the fact. Because if I prove the evidence, somebody going to jail. Simple. Okay?
Well, as you know, one of the things we said earlier, one of the things we said earlier on the show, I hope I haven't, I just pressed something on my computer, and you know, this is one of these monkey handling gun things. I hope I don't even know what I've done, but y'all are still here. Y'all are still hearing me, right?
Yeah, he's still here. Okay,
right. Okay, good. My goodness.
Don't pull the trigger.
One of the things that we said earlier, remember, Fred, is if there's anybody that disputes anything, we are no longer, and you see, people don't seem to understand this. There was a point in time when government was the only entity in the country that had access to information.
Mm-hmm.
But now, because of social media, whether the Prime Minister and the President of BAMP like to hear it or not, now as a result of the internet, now as a result of YouTube, now as a result of Facebook, people are able, and Instagram, people are able to access information for themselves. Now, I will tell you that it is a bit of a concern as to whether they're capable of doing the appropriate due diligence. I will admit to that. But nevertheless, there is, I heard someone told me, that because something is said by 2 or 3 people doesn't necessarily mean it correct. But from a legal standpoint, witnesses 2 or 3 establish guilt or innocence. That is a legal fact. Now, if someone wants to dispute what is being said, I think it is a very simple matter. You bring your evidence, you present your evidence. The general public we will present our evidence. When I say we, persons on the opposite side, and the general public will make their determination. That is what happens it's supposed to happen every 5 years, right, Apostle? I think it is supposed to happen every 5 years. We have not had a 5-year election in the past 3 terms in this country.
Mm-hmm.
We have not had a 5-year election cycle.
Monkey with gun. Monkey with gun.
Okay. That's a different monkey. That's a different monkey. I like being a green one. I will stick to being a green one because I think that is unique to Barbados. But then there are other monkeys that are all over the world. So trust Dave to go and put up this thing now with the clown car. I don't. Dave is really trouble, Dave is real trouble, man, I tell you. Dave, I went here and done something on my screen and I can't see everybody, and anyhow, I will get back to that. I will get back to that. Apostle, you heard what
yes, sir.
You heard what Fred said. Your comments on it.
Well, I can tell you that he's absolutely correct because as a boy, back in vacation days, we would ride and pretty much go down Maynards, go down to Haywoods to the beach. And that area was always filled with water. So we know, and from being living in St. Peter, I know that particular one. I know that there's also one at the back of the Codrington School that leads into that as well. And so I know Fred is absolutely correct when he speaks about that. And the fact that even there are other individuals that complain about these elements. And I have to also say that even in St. Andrew, where ONALFA has spent over $100 million trying to create a situation where they have landfill there in St. Andrew that did not work. There's an aquifer there as well too. From the history that I understand, they actually ruptured one when they were doing that, which led to the actual cancellation and cessation of that project. I know practically where there are 6 springs in St. Andrew that I could take people to growing up as a boy. So I know that they're clear springs. There's a Gabion in the area called we call it the Coconut Walk. There's a 20-inch main. My dad said that water was gushing through that pipe since he was a boy. He's now 88 years old. So you can tell that Barbados has very, very clear elements of spring water. Any place in Barbados really where there's Spring Hall, Spring Head, Spring Garden, Pori Spring, anywhere like that, there's a natural spring here. And Fred is absolutely right where that rupturing and damaging of the aquifer there over by Port Ferdinand, that's been pretty much shoved under the rug. And the people of St. Lucie are suffering because of that right now. They can't deal with the other issue of the seepage of oil underneath St. Lucie, which is adding to this situation, which is why obviously the Prime Minister and everybody is trying to do their best to figure out what they need to do over there. But as Mr. Corbin said, pretty much this is a losing battle. And of course, when you damage an aquifer, there's not much you can do to repair it. So quite a lot has been done to the people of St. Peter, St. Lucie, that needs to be fixed. And unfortunately, all of it has been done on this Barbados Labour Party.
I will say, Apostle, that CFW Engineering, my company, actually did an analysis using ground penetrating radar. And we analyzed the potential of repairing and resealing of the St. Lucie aquifer at the Port Ferdinand location. And it would cost approximately $30 million to reseal the aquifer.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty much.
But it would entail everybody moving out of Port Ferdinand and the closure of the marina, the pumping dry of the marina for the works to proceed, and the marina would be reduced in size probably by about 40 feet in order to be able to put the necessary reinforcement in place to reseal the aquifer. Once the aquifer is resealed, the natural limestone caverns that are behind it would retain water and so on. It would take approximately 10 years to come back to its original levels. The contamination, however, is a greater issue, simply because when you have an aquifer that has been vacated and you have all of that airspace above it, you tend to have a lot of propagation of bacteria as water seepage starts to come through and so on. And you also have different development with wells and so on that will start to come into it. So you start to get contamination and so on. And it can be controlled, but it will take about 10 years to recover.
Fred, I want to ask you a question because, I live near St. Peter. There was a project at first, before the marina started, there was a project on the top, on the hill over the marina. And that project was subsequently abandoned. Is that what was responsible for the damaging of the aquifer at first from dredging that area out, or was it the actual construction of the marina? I just want to be clear on that.
Well, I think that the project was abandoned because there was a dispute over land, and that's the reason. But that project has actually been restarted because I see construction going on there now. Okay, yes. This is when you're coming down from a mile and a quarter, and just before you get to the entrance of the Cut Rock, it's on your right hand side, and I see all of the abandoned buildings now being renovated and so on. Now, this is concerning. This is concerning to me because there is empty space beneath that construction, and if there is a collapse, you're gonna have a similar problem to what happened in Britain's Hill. Okay,
correct. Correct, because there's a natural cave there.
That's right. A lot of people do not understand the very significant role that aquifers play in the support systems of a coral island. When water pressure builds within an aquifer and you have seepage through the limestone out into onto the beach or anything like that, the structures above it are supported because water cannot be compressed. So naturally you get that kind of support in there. If you evacuate that and the limestone dries out, it becomes very brittle. And the minute that you start to put construction loads on it and you get fracturing, you only have to have a minor seismic event and the whole thing just collapses. Boom, done.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in the repair of the aquifer, that entire project that's under construction or reconstruction, that would have to close entirely, if not demolished, because that land has to be used in order for the cofferdam construction that we would put in has to be excavated, and the cofferdam construction with piles driven in, and then sealant put in, and concrete retaining wall on the inside and the concrete retaining wall on the outside.
Right.
Okay. But it can be done, but it's going to cost you about $30 million. We did the analysis on it.
It's going to be pretty expensive for sure.
Yeah, we did the analysis on it, and as far as I'm concerned, Jada Construction needs to foot that bill. Simple as that.
Well, I mean, gentlemen, you all are discussing a very I mean, aquifers are not exactly 800-gallon tanks sitting outside of somebody's home.
The St. Lucie aquifer is approximately about 800 million cubic feet of water.
Yeah, and no pun intended, but that's not a drop in the bucket. I mean, that is a massive aquifer. That is a massive facility, you know, to accommodate fresh water.
Yeah, during the rainy season in Barbados, the typical rainy season in Barbados, every single descent in cane fields in St. Lucie and St. Peter would be full of water and also small fish. We used to fish for thousands.
Yeah, I remember that. Right. I remember that in St. Peter. And,
that is when the aquifer is at its peak because of the rainy season. Okay, and then as the season goes, that water would reduce. The very fact that Hayman's factory, as well as other factories in the area, were able to operate with such efficiency in the south of the island was because of those water reserves. And St. Lucie is still the breadbasket of Barbados, even although the water is drastically reduced. Okay, right. You reseal the St. Lucie aquifer and let it take its 10 years to get back to its restoration, provided we have enough rain. Okay, and there will be a recovery, but it's going to take you 10 years or more.
Well, I'm going to let me see something here. I'm going to ask Dave to put up some comments because like I said, I don't know what I did.
There's just one issue that I want to raise with Apostle here. You mentioned at the beginning of the discussion with regard to internet issues and so on in Barbados and the very poor service that we're experiencing. I just want to reassure you.
Yes, I did.
I just want to reassure you that there is a comprehensive plan as part of a strategic development initiative of Barbados on behalf of my company to completely revolutionize internet, cable, cell phone service, and everything for the country.
We need it now.
Unfortunately, I can't get it now. I would like to be able to start tomorrow, but what I would do tonight would be illegal.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Well, gentlemen, I tell you, I'm going to leave you all to carry on the discussion for a couple of minutes because I'm going to have to go out and come back in because I've virtually lost everything except the imagery with you guys. So
no worries
if you could continue.
So, Apostle, I have a question. Please. I have a question for you that I think will be interesting to our viewers. Do you believe that the parishes of St. Lucie and St. Peter could actually be brought together in an economic development plan that could benefit both the medical industry as well as the agricultural industry together?
No doubt about that. No doubt about that.
Okay.
I looked at both St. Peter and St. Lucie as pretty much the only two parishes that spans from the west coast to the east coast of the island. I consider that to be very significant in terms of what I saw growing up. Over the years, being, love history, loving geography, I've noticed the soil types in St. Lucie and also St. Peter and part of St. Andrew. Those areas where I grew up, I know for sure that the soil conservation unit has they have kept a lot of their testing and the growing of certain plants and certain fruits within the St. Peter and St. Andrew and St. Lucie areas. So I know for a fact in terms of the outlook, the geographical aspects of the three parishes, I would say St. Andrew, St. Lucie, and St. Peter. And as you said, St. Lucie being pretty much the breadbasket of the island right now, there's a lot of potential for not just in the area of medicine and the medical field, but pretty much in the area of many other aspects. I had the chance to speak to a lady, very high-ranking lady here in comparison to the cane quality and the fact that I was able to mention cane by number. She was very surprised, and I told her I can tell you what number a cane is by looking at it, by looking at the color. You know, whether it's a 129 or 151, 129. I can tell whether it's a juicy. I pretty much grew up in those areas, so I know that a lot of testing has gone on in these three parishes, and in recent times it has not. But from what you're saying, I completely agree with that statement.
Well, the reason I asked that question is this: in 2014, CSW Engineering, my company, designed a project for a new hospital in the north of the island, in the parish of St. Lucie, and the parish of St. Peter, being beneficial, benefiting from it as well, where this particular medical institution would be completely and totally naturopathic, natural medication based, with its own research facility and medicinal manufacturing capability, thereby enhancing the agricultural produce demand for both St. Peter and St. Lucie. So automatically, when you have a medical institution that is treating diseases and so on by natural means, natural herbs, plants, produce, and so on will be analyzed for their qualities and the best qualities and so on, and then grants given to persons on contract to supply the hospital with the best qualities so that the best medications can be accessed. Because we all know that our God-given herbs are the best healers, not what comes out of the pharmaceutical industrial complexes is killing people all over the world. So a properly designed medical facility in the north of the island, in the breadbasket region, with access to proper farming management and so on, would put a statement of GDP earning capability that Barbados has never seen before. And the north of the island, as you know, has been neglected drastically over the years. So if we have a policy, with a strategic development initiative for Barbados, which was what I was going to bring to the table when I joined the NNP last year, that would have been the #1 development program for the parish of St. Lucie and St. Peter, where a medical institution that commands the attention of the core industrial base of both parishes, which is agriculture. Okay? And then expanding that into medicinal export, medical tourism, and so on, so that the GDP earning power of the north of the island is actually almost like a standalone industry. And then other parishes can follow suit. What we do understand with regard to St. Lucie and St. Peter with regard to agriculture is that there are species of herbs and plants that grow there that don't grow anywhere else in Barbados. That's the reason.
Correct.
So what we do have in plan that is an embryonic stage, is the ability to be able to take and move forward with a development plan for both parishes that not only brings greater GDP earnings for the island, but also lifts a tremendous amount of people out of barely making an existence from agricultural support into full-fledged on-demand farming. And that's exactly what we want to be able to do.
That's interesting. I mean, like what you're saying, and I'm hoping that it can actually materialize itself. And as you said, I grew up on the border of St. Andrew and St. Peter, and at one point we have an area there in St. Andrew, just across from the Borders area, that is, was flooded with cactus, and they had this red fruit that it used to produce at a certain time that was, pretty sweet. The birds would eat it, but it was very seedy. And now I saw recently that, in certain areas in America, they're using that fruit now as, a part of medicine for treating blood conditions and stuff like that. And it's here in Barbados. I was amazed.
Yeah.
So, I think you're right on point.
Yeah.
With this, right on point. Rev, it's good to have you back.
I haven't been able to rectify the matter.
You pulled the wrong trigger?
Yeah, I think I either that or I have the wrong gun. But I may have the wrong gun. Oh, dear me. But I think it's important. I think this happened for a reason, because we have to laugh. But otherwise, this matter is so serious that you can really find yourself getting quite aggravated at the way things are being dealt with in Barbados. I started to listen very carefully to what Rose was saying, and I get the impression, Apostle, that we're the government. I'm the prime minister. I don't want to hear you. You put me here, so let me do what I won't feel like doing. This is the kind of attitude and mentality that I hear coming from every single government minister and member of parliament. They seem to have forgotten that they are our servants. It's not a word they are going to like to hear, because it reminds them of our colonial past. We are the masters, you are the servants. And if the Barbadian populace, and I've said it before, this is not a government with a mandate. I understand a mandate is when you have the majority of everything on your side. This is a minority government, if my mind serves me correctly. 38 to 41% of the electorate voted, of which the government got about 60-something%, I'm told, which in truth and in fact translates to about 21 to 26% of the total legitimate voting community in the country, which means you are a minority government. You have not been given a mandate by the people of Barbados. So you can't stand up and say so. I have listened. I am tired of word salads. And somebody commented, when I said that, somebody commented and said, no, don't use word salads, because that's healthy. So maybe I have to find another reference. But I'm tired of all the talk, all the fancy talk. And I don't think I'm the only person. I think, as you mentioned, wherever I turn in this country, Fred, I don't know what your experience is, but wherever I turn in this country and come to people who tell us, don't stop what you all are doing. Don't stop what you're doing. You're educating and informing the people where they are oblivious to what is happening. I wanted to touch on and I think I was trying to find the information here. I think, Fred, I had heard you make mention of something to do with the 2030 agenda.
That's correct.
Which rolls off the mouth of the Prime Minister on regular occasions. But I wonder how many people in Barbados, those of you listening to this program tonight, I wonder how many of you know what is meant by a 2030 agenda. I recommend to you strongly that you do your research and find out what is intended from a global perspective. When you hear not only the Prime Minister, you hear persons in Davos, you hear people like Bill Gates speak of it, you hear people like Charles Schwab speak of it, you hear people like the Prime Minister, I think he is, of France, Mr. Macron, speaking of it. You are hearing the Prime Minister of Australia speaking about it. I am going to hold on another country leader who, if I call his name, everybody gets upset, but I don't hear him talk about it. It doesn't seem that he wants to be a part of that. But it is a global affair. Mr. Charles Schwab said it well. You will own nothing and be happy. There are those who treat to the fact that monetary aspects, they want to monetize. I want you all to hear me carefully. They want to monetize water and air. This is a fact. You see, again, if you don't agree with me, bring your facts. I have mine. I have the testimony of people before the European Union with regards to this. This is not a conspiracy theory.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
The thing is, boss, you have to understand what is happening. A lot of people look at what is happening and they can't understand the absurdity. They cannot understand what is taking place. They don't have enough information. And the government is deliberately instructed to keep the people confused, because a confused population that is divided, that is upset, that is hungry, that can't figure out who is telling the truth and who isn't, it's very easy to control. Now, hence the reason why we bring truth, knowledge, and education and the fact to the people. But you have to understand that government is doing precisely what they are instructed to do.
Yes, absolutely.
They are blanking the opinions of everybody else simply because you're not in the clique. Okay? Now,
correct.
Why is this? Why is this? The reason for this is something called stakeholder socialism. Stakeholder socialism. People buy into the Barbados Labour Party. The Prime Minister goes out and collects money for the Ponzi scheme called the Bridgetown Initiative, and stakeholders are brought in to pay for certain segments of the country, and anything that does not come to within those borders is deemed as cognitively dissonant and is dismissed. Doesn't matter how practical it is. Okay, what the public of Barbados need to understand is one thing very clearly: there is no political solution to this dilemma. You cannot form a party and get them out of power, because that won't work. You cannot get a petition and get everybody in Barbados to sign it, because that won't work. You cannot get a whole country up in arms and attack the government and burn down Bridgetown and so on, because that won't work. Okay? What works is when educated individuals form an ironclad policy to engage those countries who do not subscribe to the global South model of stakeholder capitalism and control, and create a parallel system that eliminates the current stupidity. That is very difficult to do. However, it only takes for 10 intelligent minds to come together to secure very minimal funding to be able to put a strategic action initiative in place that completely eliminates the current situation. And that can be done relatively easily. And within a year, Barbados will be a totally different scenario, simply because we are a small island. I don't want to hear about people, oh, we need to do what Ibrahim Traore did in Africa. Hang on a second. Ibrahim Traore had an entire military behind him.
Yes,
he had a standing army of 80,000 men that could support him and are supporting him in his takeover of the country and putting the colonial imperialist oppressor out the door. We don't have that, because our minuscule military, has already been bought and paid for. However, our military cannot function if the economic situation of the country is in the hands of others. Okay? We have to do precisely what needs to be done in ways that can be achieved, so that when it does happen, Barbadians can see that there is a difference being put in place immediately. Simply because if you promise utopia and you fail to deliver, the same population that believed in you is going to tear you to shreds. I want the public to go into the comments and look at an Amazon book link that I've just posted there, a book written by Dr. Cassius Stewart, who's actually my cousin. When the freedom fighters become the slave masters. What you don't want to happen is that you don't want to be preaching freedom fighters and, oh, we're going to make Barbados and we have all these great projects and so on and so forth, and then turn around and end up doing the exact same thing of the persons you put through the door. That would be the worst case scenario, because now you become the oppressor. What we have to understand is that the spiritual warfare has to be fought first and foremost, is spiritual warfare. Because if you can defeat the spiritual warfare, everything else falls into place, simply because evil cannot exist in a positive spiritual mindset and a world that embraces the positivity of a new paradigm.
Well, you just spoke like myself and Apostle would speak, because you will find our agreement. I always tell people that Genesis chapter 1 did not begin when God spoke it. It began when he thought it, not when he spoke it.
There you go.
Remember that. So, and when you are in the realm of thinking, you are in the spirit realm.
Precisely.
So that then when you speak, what you are operating within the spirit realm becomes a reality. That is why the wise man in his writing says two things about the mouth. And of course, Apostle, James also says something about the tongue. And he said, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and you will eat the fruit of it. He went on to say that a man's belly is satisfied by the fruit of his lips. And so people need to understand that there is a desperate need, and I say this respectfully here, for this country to return to God. This country needs a revival. And unfortunately, and I make this statement without any apology, unfortunately, the church, not the body of Christ, the church is in bed with the government. So they can't speak against the government. They can't. And I saw the Barbados Today article concerning these grants that were given. I'm happy for the young people who may benefit from it. But I asked the question, did you read the draft legislation for this, where it specifies very clearly that you cannot disagree or discriminate against, or anything of the matter, against same-sex, transgenders, or anything of that nature? I wonder if you read it, because it makes it clear that that grant, virtually, if I put it in my words, can be retracted if you do not meet them or do not provide for them as you would for anybody else. And mind you, in the same legislation, it speaks of, when it speaks of faith-based organizations, it speaks of people committed to their faith. It says it clearly in the legislation.
Right.
So when you get the church prepared to sidestep the tenets that it believes in order to benefit financially from what a government is providing, I hear the voice of Ronald Reagan. I think he said the most frightening words. He gave them a number, and I can't remember, but he said the most frightening words to hear is, and I quote, "I am from the government and I'm here to help." And so we as a nation, it is critical for us as a nation, and I think it would be expected of persons such as myself and Apostle to say this quite clearly. We as a nation need to return to God.
Yes, sir.
Because I've often said, and Fred, I think you'll agree, I've often said, God don't need an election to remove a government.
Nope.
Never did.
Or a prime minister. Go ahead.
Never did.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things to recognize is something called collective consciousness. Okay.
Good point.
If the three of us have a collective consciousness that we know that Barbados needs a return to God, the God that dwells within each one of us, within our souls, within our spirits. We all have this. They all have the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit. Our collective consciousness as a nation, as God-fearing nation, has more power than any weaponry you can bring against an errant government. Yeah. Why? Because you take issue with the spiritual context in one single samurai sword sweep. Boom, done. You behead that spiritual evil immediately. That collective consciousness of a population. That collective consciousness of the population can be accessed. But how are we accessing it? Are we accessing it by complaining, or are we offering solutions, such as this platform, where we can say, this is what we're going to do? This is how we can address this. This is what we can do for our people. We are encouraging our people to come and join us in truth, knowledge, and education so that our spiritual collective consciousness can become a force that is unreconcilable.
Yeah. Well, let me just jump in here quickly and say a few things.
Because we have 6 minutes.
I'm moving on what Jesus mentioned out of John chapter 6 when he spoke clearly and he said, it's the spirit that gives life. The flesh conveys nothing. He said, the words that I speak, they are spirit and they are life.
And their life.
And let me say this because it is very, very important to understand. And I'll say this on the backdrop of those individuals who got their grants. Anytime God gives a man a vision, that man does not need a grant from the government to carry that vision out. Anytime you have a vision from God, you say, God gave you this, and you are going to depend on taxpayers' money to carry out God's vision, you have no vision from God. And this is one of the things that has to be clearly stated to all of these churches and these church leaders that are here in Barbados who are going and taking money from the government. You've made it clear that in the realm of the spirit, you have no vision and you have no power to carry out the assignment that God has given to you. If you have to take money from the people, because they made it clear that it's taxpayers' money. So if you have to take money from the people to do work with the people, then you really are a leader. You really are a visionary. And people must understand that. So when we get to the place as a people, when we allow concepts to be levied on us on a daily basis, propaganda that cannot be substantiated, the church allows that to happen. And, you know, people are wondering, okay, where's the church in this entire situation? Well, there are people that must understand that the church is bigger than a few people who have titles. The body of Christ is bigger than a few people that have titles. I can guarantee you that when the Apostle Paul was met on the road to Damascus, the Bible tells us clearly in the book of Acts, there was a disciple at Damascus named Ananias. Nobody heard of him. Nobody knew he existed until something happened with Paul. So what we are dealing with, and Fred brought this up about the greater consciousness and the people coming together. And now that's what has to happen. But we have to get a clear mandate, a clear vision from God. Listen, people that are here now are destroying your country. They're selling your country out. In 5 years from now, Barbados will be completely bought out by the rich and the famous. There are places that you will not be allowed to go, that you could have easily gone there before. We need to get to the people that we are losing our country, and our children, the generations to come, will not be able to live in the Barbados that we're living in right now. And until we get that message to the masses, whether B or D, the issue here isn't the party anymore. The issue here is what kind of country are our children and grandchildren going to live in? And if we sit back and we allow party to disturb and destroy this country, our children are going to pay a very severe price. And we have to do something about it right now, Ren.
There's something the Lord said, Apostle and Fred, occupy till I come. I don't think the church has understood what that means, because you will recall, and I know there are we could have a lot of conversations about it, but you will recall there was a time the church was responsible for education, social programs, alleviation of poverty. These were all places that the church occupied.
Precisely.
Okay, occupied. And now, as we look at the Codrington reparations, we can also see, and when I speak, and people, I want us to be clear. There's a difference between the church Jesus talked about and your denominational tag. Let us be abundantly clear about that matter.
Amen.
Be abundantly clear. Jesus did not ever say the Anglicans would build his kingdom, or the Pentecostals, or the Methodist. He said, I will do it. And he said he will build his church, which is ecclesia, which many people don't know the full meaning of. The word is not even a religious word. The word is
Yes,
actually
sir.
a political word.
Political.
It's a political
Correct.
expression that speaks of the people governing a city. That is what it speaks of.
Yes,
So
sir.
in truth and in fact, the church should be at a significantly more influential state than it is at the moment. But we advocated that
Yes, sir.
position and turned it over to a secular government, which means we
Yes.
have literally disobeyed what the Lord said, occupy till I come. Now,
Well, Rev, let me ask. Let me
please.
quickly say something. Let me say
You
this
got
quickly.
you got
And
1
here-
minute.
I'll take 30 seconds. The Bible is clear. The borrower is a servant to the lender. Okay? If our leader is a borrower, she is a servant to the lender, and therefore cannot charter a course for a country. A borrower is a servant to the lender, and therefore you cannot rule a country properly if you are a servant to the lender.
Absolutely not. And that servant and that lender is the United States. Let's get it clear, folks. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, it isn't a matter of Trump, Biden, or anybody. It's a matter that the United States is the largest financial donor to the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. That is a fact. So when you're borrowing money, you got to do
And the
what the
WHO before they pulled out.
Sorry?
And the largest donor to the
largest
World Bank
donor
before
to
they
the
pulled out.
WHO
To the
before they
WHO,
pulled
yeah.
out. Yes. And I spoke about that last week as well, Apostle. The second now becomes the first, and the first biggest donor is Bill Gates, Bill and Melinda
Bill
Gates
and Melinda Gates Foundation.
And the
Correct.
second largest donor to what Dr. Williams would like us to accept and believe is a vaccine, what you call pharmaceutical organization.
Yep.
And you are expecting me to believe what they are going to be telling me after we have just been through the debacle of a pandemic that we've just gone through.
Crazy.
And you're going to come to me in Barbados and tell me that I'm spreading false information, misinformation, and we're to believe what you say? I don't think so.
Pandemic.
I don't think so.
It's a huge disappointment.
But as I have said, and as we have shown, this show does not give medical advice, and it strongly recommends that you have a conversation with your doctor and your medical professional, but do not have a conversation like you used to have, where you believe everything that comes out of the medical professional's mouth.
Precisely. And the thing
You
is,
can no longer do that.
Yeah.
Because there are researchers, virologists, there are medical professionals with what they have forgotten. Our medical fraternity in Barbados has not even learned yet. With all due respect to them, I don't want to disrespect them, but you got to stay in your lane. It is as simple as
Precisely.
that. You got to stay
Follow
in
the
your
science,
lane.
you know.
Okay.
Follow the science, right?
Yes, follow the science. Don't follow the sense. Not the sense, the sense. And I'm talking about CENTS sense, because I was told follow the money.
But Doc, you have to realize that we're dealing with a medical fraternity in Barbados that when they fell over the tree of ignorance, they hit every branch on the way down.
Yeah. You see, and you know, and here's the ridiculous thing, you know, Fred. And I want to end on this.
God.
I want to end on this because we can go on and on and on. I want to end on this. The with all due respect to the president, I don't hate you, Linda, Dr. Linda. You're supposed to be a believer, so I can't hate you. But when you're wrong, you're wrong. Okay? And it is my responsibility, and Apostles and Fred's, to tell you when you are wrong. Right?
Well, she needs to come and apologize for the debacle.
And to speak truth to power. That is what we do. It could cost us our lives. We are aware of it. Okay, but the reality is that Barbados does not produce a single medical treatment in this country. We import every single thing from overseas,
Yep.
and we take advice from people overseas. We have nobody in Barbados doing research concerning measles, mumps, and polio. What was the other one there again, Fred? MMR, rubella.
Mumps, measles, and rubella.
Mumps, measles, and rubella in Barbados. We are taking all of the advice, all of the direction, and all of the information, and all of the drugs from overseas. We produce nothing here. We do none of their research here in Barbados. None.
Okay.
It does not happen here. If Barbados is a sovereign country, what happens here may not be the same thing that happens in Africa, America, or whatever. Where are our virologists doing the research, testing, peer studies, and reports? For Barbados, none. Zero.
There you go. There you go.
Okay,
There you
we
go.
take it from overseas. And just like you get your information from overseas and you accept it as gospel, we get ours and we accept it as gospel. The difference is we got facts. Bring your facts. Simple as that. Gentlemen, time has left us. 10:04. Thank you. We've had some little minor issues for the program, but we thank God that we've been able to share virtually everything we scheduled. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to put up and address as many comments as I would like to, because I have lost that entire frame on my computer. I don't know what I did, and I'll work on it like you did, Fred, and see if I can get it back at some point in time. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us tonight.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate
Great to be with you, Rev.
appreciate you taking the time, Fred, and staying on with us to engage the matter of St. Lucie. And we do pray and hope that the matter can be resolved as quickly as possible for the benefit of the people in St. Lucie who deserve proper water and who should not pay a single water bill, because you are not getting the product that you paid for and was guaranteed you would receive. And as such, when you don't, you should sanction the persons who provide you with your product.
Well, just do what I did. Just do what I did. I took 2 samples of water, of body water. I refused to pay my water bill when I was living in St. Lucie. I took 2 bottles of the water that I could not even see through. And I walked into Water Authority and walked into a board meeting and put them on the table and said, when you all reserve that issue, then call me. And walk back out. That was that.
Yeah.
But see,
So
This town hall meeting they have coming up, they should get at least 7 bottles and put them on the table and say, you guys say this is safe to drink. So we want to witness all of you drink this water. So here, 7 fresh bottles. Here's the water. So we just want to see you drink it.
Yes. And I listened to Mr.
That's what they should do.
Strickland. I listened to Mr. Strickland. I think it was Mr. Strickland on Wednesday.
Yes.
And
Wednesday night. Yes.
Yes. And these things are things that must be fixed. Stop traveling all around the world with words, with fancy speeches, and fix your country. God bless you guys tonight. Great having you. Thank you so much for being here. Loyal opposition.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here as well. Appreciate all of you taking the time and staying on and sharing. We do thank you so very much for being with us this evening. I'm going to turn it now, Dave, over to you to take us out, my friend, in a manner that you would determine. I leave that with you.
The street where children used to play. Mothers on their knees don't know what to say. Brothers turn against brothers, hearts gone cold. We've traded love for silver, we've sold our soul. But if we humble, if we pray, turn from the darkness, seek your face, heal our land, oh Lord. Heal our land. Hear the cry rising from the sand. We repent, we turn again. Wash we hearts, make we whole. Amen. Heal our land, oh Lord, here we plead. From the hills to the deep blue sea, mercy fall like island rain. Heal our land, Lord, once again. Heal our land, Lord, once again. losing the guidance done gone. We forget the roots that make we strong. Now every right just turning wrong. But if we humble, if we pray, turn from the darkness, seek your face. Heal our land, oh Lord, heal our land. Hear the cry rising from the sand. We repent, we turn again. Wash we hearts, make we holy. Heal our land, oh Lord, here we bleed. From the hills to the deep blue sea, mercy fall like island rain. Heal our land, Lord, once again. If we call on you, you will answer. If we turn from sin, you will hear us. If we seek your face, you will heal us. We humble, we self, we cry out today. Take the violence, take it away. Plant your love where fear has grown. Make this island yours alone. If my people, called by my name, will humble themselves and pray. Heal our land, oh Lord, heal our land. Yeah, hear the cry rising from the sand. We repent, we turn again. Wash we hearts, make